Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:43, and I'll look to council for declarations of pecuniary interest. Is there anyone who'd wish to disclose anything? I don't see any hands. Okay, so we've met in closed, and I'll ask the clerk to rise to report on that meeting for us, please.
All right. Thank you, Chair. Council just met in closed session. I wish to report that the following matters were discussed. Council received a confidential report regarding personal matters about identifiable individuals being municipal staff, and no direction was given. The second item, Council received advice subject to solicitor-client privilege regarding a Southwinds legal matter, and direction was given to legal counsel to proceed with the litigation matters.
Okay, thank you for that. The next item up we have is the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we're gathering on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people on the land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. Just before we get into the business, I do have a couple of remarks and points to raise tonight. I'd like to take a moment to speak about the Middlesex County Agricultural Hall of Fame, which celebrates people who give back to agriculture and to our rural communities. On June 7th, the Hall of Fame held its 26th induction ceremony at Western Fair. This year's honorees included the Johnson family of Newview Farm in Thorndale and Peggy O'Neill, a strong advocate for agriculture at the provincial, federal, and international levels. We were also proud to see a local connection recognized. Colonel Douglas B. Weldon was honored for his contributions to the agricultural community. Notably, from his many achievements, Colonel Weldon was a soldier, philanthropist, and builder of Prospect Farms, a well-known Aberdeen Angus operation near Arva. So congratulations to Colonel Weldon and the entire Weldon family on this well-deserved honor. Okay, so we've done the pecuniary interest. So let's move now to delegations and presentations. This evening, we have one presentation from Christine Scrimmager, our auditor, to review the municipality's 2025 financial statements. So if you push your and it's green when you're ready, Christine.
I got to do this because I need the two.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure. It's not working. Oh, there we go. It is now. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. These are the draft audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2025. They are draft until those charged with governance under Canadian auditing standards, which would be this council approves them. So hopefully that happens tonight, and that's why they're dated as of today. I do want to first start out by thanking the staff of the Treasury Department, particularly the treasurer herself and her staff, who do an excellent job of providing us with the documents we require to complete the audit in a timely manner. The audited materiality is $675,000. However, we do not only look at transactions over that amount. We do look at anything, or all transactions are eligible for our statistical sampling into purchases, payroll, and revenue. And so having done all of that work, we are issuing a clean audit opinion, which you find before you. So we'll go to the balance sheet first, and this is the balance sheet. And so I'll go through everything at a high level. If there's any specific questions, please don't hesitate to ask. This balance sheet, I always go down to about 3/4 the way down the page, which is your net financial assets. So this is really what you would end up having in the bank at the end of the day if everyone paid you what they owe you and you paid off all of what you owe. And obviously that doesn't happen at any one point, but it just gives you a snapshot into that. And as you can see, we're staying very steady. We've increased by about $3 million from 2024. And so that's great. And the better news is when you go below that line, if you see the amount of capital that happened in the from 2024 to 2025 year end, you'll see there that we've increased our new capital by about $21 million, which without taking out any new debt that's paid by the ratepayers. And that was offset by the $9 million of amortizations, which we'll get into in a minute. New capital, the main new one was obviously this building that was added, completed in 2025. And so that came out of WIP. It was in work in progress at the end of 2024. And we've added back into WIP this year, the Melrose Huron connection, Lake Huron connection, as well as the Ilderton Arena renovations. And so those are the main capital projects that happened in the year. And as I mentioned, the long-term debt is going down. So we did not issue new debt on those capital projects. As well, the deferred revenue, which is your obligatory reserve funds, that being your DCs and other reserve funds that are not, that are stipulated by the ministries as to how you can spend them, also increase. So all of those good news stories. Any questions on that statement at all?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, we'll move forward then to, sorry, there we go. The next statement, which is a statement of operation accumulated surplus. So the budget for 2025 compared to the actual for 2025 compared to the actual for 2024. And I'm just going to highlight some of the major changes. Revenue is up again about $3 million, and most of that increase happened in two different areas. The user charges, which is mostly water, wastewater, which does not affect the general surplus. That's a separate surplus that's maintained on behalf of those users. And then investment income increase as well. And the majority of that then moves over into the reserve funds, increases the reserve funds by being added to those funds. And so, and then the rest of those revenues are very consistent with what was budgeted. Under expenditures, I'll remind council that we do not budget for amortization. So you do not overspend by the $8 million difference between the budgeted expenditures and the actual. It's actually 9.3 million is amortization. So you are in total we're underspent. Good, that wasn't mine. I was worried that was mine. And so if you add that into the budgeted expenditures, you're actually underspent in the actual. And so that line, excess of revenue over expenditures before other, you can see it's almost double last year. And so that's really what you've raised in taxation dollars for savings above and beyond what your operating costs are and covering the amortization cost as well. So that is what we want to see, especially with all of the changes that are happening right now, especially with government policies. Everything under that line are revenues that relate to capital, not consistent year to year. It's really dependent on where you're at with your various capital projects. And so we bring them out of operating and bring them down below the line so that you can actually see what's been raised through for actual operations. Coming down to that accumulated surplus at the end of the year of 315 million. Any question on that statement at all?
I don't think so.
Nothing? Okay. The next statement is your statement of cash flows, which shows the increases and decreases of the non-cash items on the balance sheet. And really the large numbers all deal with capital. As you can see there, the amortization, I've mentioned the 9.3 million, acquisition of new assets of 19 million, and then a decrease in the work in progress. So overall, that $21 million of new assets. And then they have financing activities. You can see the repayment of debt, which I've been talking about. Coming down to your cash balance at the end of the year. And then the next statement is the statement of change in net financial assets. So it just really drills down into the capital assets again, because that is obviously your biggest investment in the year. We then get to the notes to the financial statements, and I'm not going to go through each note. I will just highlight note number 10. So I'm going to be able to see this, yes, which is a breakdown of the accumulated surplus. And so as I mentioned, one of the other things that I'm looking for is to make sure that you haven't depleted your reserve funds by doing all of that capital. And you can see there that the reserve funds moved from 68 million at the end of 2024 to almost 72 million at the end of 2025. And again, some of that is the increase, as I mentioned, in the water and wastewater, and they have their own reserve fund that maintains that for those users. But of that surplus, you can see a significant amount is held in that capital assets in that first line. At the back of the statements are two schedules. There is a new note to the financial, I should have mentioned this, new note to the financial statement number 18, which is a subsequent event. This is the new CIP program that the council has approved, and this is the first said loan that is under consideration. I know it still was pending signing by the time this statements got completed. And then at the back, there are two schedules. One is the breakdown of capital assets by component. So this breaks down all of the, and you can see there under buildings, the new asset there of the new assets that were added this year. The building is in that second column over. And then the other big one is public works, and that was mainly bridges and some road work as well. But there was a significant amount of work done on bridges this year. And then the last schedule is the segmented schedule. So this is the segue between these financial statements and the FIR that gets sent into the province, breaking all your revenues and expenditures down between functions. These functions are stipulated by the ministry. And so we like to show this. This is a required statement to help the ministry transfer from your financial statements into what is reported to them. I know your treasurer reported to you on the operating surplus of 1.8 million, and that report, those journal entries were made by within these financial statements, so that has all been completed.
Okay. So I'll look to council then. Are there questions, comments, observations? No? Okay.
Don't make it too easy on me. It's a lot of work that goes into this.
There is a lot of work, and I just wanted to comment that it's concise and easy to follow, and I appreciate all of the commentary and the work that you've done. It's like when we get a good audit report, it's always a relief to council. So thank you for all your efforts this year again, and see you next year.
Okay. Well.
Okay, thank you.
I do need to hear the motion because I have to approve them.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So if there are no questions from council, then the motion before us, the recommendation is that report CPS number 37, 2026 regarding the 2025 financial statements be received for information, and further that the 2025 audited financial statements for the municipality of Middlesex Centre be approved as presented by Scrimgeour and Company CPA Professional Corporation. I would move, please. Councilor Burrs, Councilor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. So thank you very much again, Christine. Is this something I'm doing?
No, one moment.
Yeah. Okay. 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 All right. So that was number 7. We can move to number 8 now, which is the minutes. The recommendation before us is that the minutes of June 3, 2026 meeting of council be approved as presented. A mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Coles and Councillor Shipley, was that you? Yep, thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, now we can move into public meetings. The motion before us is that council moves into public meetings at 5:57 p.m. pursuant to the Planning Act RSO 1990 as amended to consider applications that are listed on the June 17th, 2026 agenda. Motion is moved by Councillor Cates, please, and Councillor Coles. Thank you. And I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that's carried. So there is just a preamble before we get started. The members of the public that wish to receive further notification on any of the applications considered today, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcentre.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments that are expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record. If you have questions on any of the applications being heard this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on the file. Members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. And in keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of the meeting participants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. There is an order of proceedings, and we follow this order for each file. The chair, that is myself, will ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and to present a staff report. The applicant or their agent then has an opportunity to speak to that application. Those who have registered in advance and are attending in person will be asked for comments. Those who have registered in advance and are attending virtually will follow that and be asked for their comments. Then the remaining members of the public who are present and wish to speak and delegate will be called on for additional comments. After that, council may ask questions of the applicant, delegates, and/or staff. And the chair then, that is myself, will then ask to consider motions regarding the applications. So the first item that is on our agenda tonight is 22756 Kamoka Road, filed by Melchers Developments Incorporated on behalf of 281389 Ontario Limited. So the first item is Dan Fitzgerald, the planner, who is going to be providing an overview of the planning report on that file. So when you're ready, Dan, go ahead.
Through the chair, thanks, Madam Mayor, members of council. So the first item on the agenda tonight is with respect to a consent application, that being B03-2026, as well as a concurrent zoning bylaw amendment application, and that's ZBA 7-2026. So the purpose of this particular application is to provide effectively two recommendations to council. The first is with respect to a consent to sever, where the applicant's seeking to sever the existing residence from a vacant portion of a lot for the purposes of redevelopment. As proposed, this severance would create a vacant lot with a frontage of approximately 44.7 meters, and that would be along Oxbow Drive, and an area of approximately 1,075 square meters. And the retained lot would have a frontage of 26 meters on Kamoka Road and an area of approximately 795 square meters. And the effect of this particular severance would again be to create a vacant parcel for which the applicant is intending to construct a new townhouse dwelling development. And so the second purpose of this particular application, again, is with respect to a rezoning request of the lands. The zoning bylaw amendment would rezone the property from a urban residential first density exception 3 zone to a urban residential second density exception zone. And the effect of the rezoning would again be to permit the establishment of a 5-unit townhouse development with a site-specific exception, which increases the maximum permitted lot coverage to 45% from 40%. And this is simply due to a road dedication requirement that is reducing the size of the lot, thereby increasing the coverage of the development. So this particular subject property is approximately 0.2 hectares or 0.5 acres. And it is situated on the northeast corner of the intersection at Kamoka Road and Oxbow Drive. The lot does contain an existing single detached dwelling, and it is situated towards the Kamoka Road side of the lands. The remainder of the site is generally used as an outdoor landscape space at this particular point in time. The dwelling is serviced by municipal piped water as well as municipal sanitary services. And the surrounding land uses in this case are residential in nature. The property is designated settlement area in the county's official plan, and it is designated residential in Middlesex Center's official plan. And again, it is zoned a UR1-3 zone. So the deputy clerk does have a sketch put up here on the screen for us. It is attachment 3 on the report if you want to look at it separately. But I figured it would just be beneficial to kind of go through the map just so that council fully understands what the application and the intent is here. So as it shows in the lot or on the plan, there is lot 1, which is identified as the existing residence which fronts onto Kamoka Road. And then it shows a conceptual lot 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are, I guess, plan east of the existing residence. So through the proposed severance application, it would just remove lot 1 from those remainder lots. We're not actually creating individual lots for townhouse units. We're just creating one large vacant block behind the existing residence. On the plan also, I would note, if you look towards Oxbow Drive, towards the proposed severed portion, they are showing a new lot line or an expropriated lot line, which is that road dedication that I referred to, whereby through circulation of the application, we did identify through our Public Works Department that a 2-meter dedication would be required from this particular parcel. And then you just kind of see what the concept of a development would be here. We're not saying that this is the end result that could occur here, but it certainly shows that this particular concept could accommodate a 5-unit townhouse development. What the future end result would be subject to future site plan review applications if approved by council. So as part of circulation of the particular application, and as I kind of noted it through the dedication portion, it was identified that we would need additional road allowance on Oxbow Drive. I would also note that the county also asked for road dedication on Kamoka Road as well. This reduced lot area does result in the lot coverage on the particular parcel increasing for the development. So the existing zone, R2, the enhanced zone does require a maximum lot coverage of 40%. Because of the dedication in this particular instance, that would result in an increase to 43% as the proposed plan is. We are including a recommendation in the planning report to increase that to 45%. And what that does effectively is it creates a bit of flexibility for the development and the future individuals on the lots to have things like covered decks or back sheds, because that 45% is a maximum lot coverage across the entire parcel. So the applicant's plan, again, is to construct a townhouse development, and in this particular instance, the intent is for 5 units, if it does work engineering-wise. There's no plan currently in place to actually physically separate these units, so it would just be one townhouse block, all owned under the same ownership. The municipality did receive several comments through the circulation of the application. Those comments were both from internal and external agencies, and they have been included in the recommended conditions of the consent application. I would just note that those particular comments did include requirements for the road dedication, servicing and grading plans, as well as requirements to enter into an agreement through the site plan control process. And that's really dictated by the fact that the property is within 300 meters of a active rail line. So I have reviewed the application against the provincial planning statement, Middlesex County's official plan, as well as Middlesex Center's official plan. All 3 guiding documents do prioritize residential development within our existing service settlement areas. Additionally, they do seek development opportunities to increase and intensify our residential density within our existing neighborhoods, providing additional options for housing within the municipality. Redevelopment within our existing settlement areas also reduces the pressure for settlement boundary expansions within our prime agricultural areas. The proposed zoning provisions for a townhouse development are considered appropriate as they do align with the recently adopted comprehensive zoning bylaw amendment updates to our residential zones, also encouraging higher density as required through our HAF2 funding grant commitments. So as provided in the staff report, I am satisfied that the concerns can be mitigated through the review of the subject proposal and can be adequately addressed through conditions of approval. Therefore, I am recommending approval of the application subject to the conditions as provided in the planning recommendation. I would note we did receive several public comments with respect to the application as well. Those have been forwarded to council in advance of the meeting. So certainly those would need to be taken into consideration when making a decision on the application. And I'm certainly available to answer any questions that council may have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that report, Dan. Next, the opportunity for the applicant or the agent is on the agenda. If you'd like to come forward. The button on the far left, if you push that, it should become green. No, there. You'll push it. And wait. And now I
There we go.
authorize you
Hey.
to speak. So the floor is yours if you'd like to make your comments.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Dan Shinkelshuk with Melchers Construction. I represent the owners of 22756 Kamoka Road. We are not the owners, we are the agent for the owner. Just to make that clear. I just want to, just a brief statement. It's a bit of a, somewhat of a repeat of what Dan had just mentioned, but just something I thought I can share this evening. These five street towns introduced a much needed missing middle housing, bringing the gap between high density apartments and expensive, excuse me, low density detached estates. It turns an unutilized parcel of land into a valuable tax asset, generating higher municipal tax revenue per square meter than a single detached home without adding strain to municipal services. This development will connect to existing water, sewer, and electrical and road networks. This proposal represents the exact type of development advocated by the Ontario Provincial Policy Statement. It does not ask the town to choose between growth and character. Instead, it offers a thoughtful, low-impact design that provides 5 families with a place to call home. We believe that supporting this infill is a fiscally responsible, inclusive, and this vote will for a fiscally responsible, inclusive, and vibrant Kamoka. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. It's pretty much all we have right now.
Okay, so on the agenda, then we go through the next group of people. I'm going to call on members of the public who have registered to provide comments in person. So the clerk,
We don't have anyone.
No one?
registered.
okay, or virtually? Okay, so they're just for members of the public, no virtual and no members here have registered to speak. Is there anyone here in the public who wishes to address council or make comments on this? Okay, you'll have to come up and, yeah, if you could sit down for a minute, Dan, then we'll just rotate through the people. So press it. And you're green, ready to go.
Can you hear me now?
And I can hear you and
Okay.
5 minutes max.
Yes.
5 minutes?
Yeah,
That won't take that
I
long.
can go like this if you like.
That sounds great. Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My name is Dylan McKinnon. I live at 9965 Oxbow Drive. I am kitty corner to that proposed development. I've lived there for 3 years. In that 3 years, I have seen 5 or 6 accidents at that corner. I've had 2 friends had their vehicles sideswiped by vehicles coming around that corner too fast. My neighbor actually parks his car on the road to protect his daughters from vehicles while they're playing out front. Understanding the gentleman that is representing the owner, all valid points, understanding the infill and intensification idea. I feel that this is going to be the first, I think, of these types of towns, street towns, I guess we call them, in the Kamoka proper or Kamoka Station area. And we're going to be setting a pretty good precedence that if you're going to sever your lot, that this is what you're going to get in your lot. So currently there are 24 detached homes in my neighborhood, understanding we're all part of the community. My neighborhood being from Kamoka Road in Oxbow, I say to the water tower, 24 homes. They're all, again, all detached. 2 to 3 garage homes, all of them, most of which hold 4 cars, some 2. My concern mostly is that corner where the parking is going to be. So I think that these towns have space, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, for probably 1 car. I believe most people have 2 cars in their household. I feel that you're going to see 4, 5, maybe 6 cars parked on that corner, or at least shortly around that corner, that I've already seen people get run into. You're going to have more of that. You're going to have these nice young families move in with their kids in front of their small lawns. It's a bad corner. Anybody that lives in that neighborhood will attest. And Anybody that I've asked has agreed. The only people that haven't agreed was the owner. Well, it was the owner and a gentleman that owns a property maintenance company. So again, this gentleman's points are all valid. I understand. But I don't feel that 5 towns in a subdivision such as that, on the corner such as that, is the fit for Kamoka Station. And setting the precedents moving forward. If that's what we're looking to do, then that's what we're looking to do. I just want to make sure that my thoughts, being the person that lives across the street, are heard, and I appreciate your time. That's really all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward and speak? Yeah.
Good afternoon, good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Petro. I live right next door to the proposed development. My wife and I have 3 little children, and we are the ones who block the road when they are playing out front in the driveway. This is a safety nightmare. That's all I wanted to say. Again, I don't disagree with this, and I made an entire page here full of notes. But I'm just going to simply urge you to consider doing a study on that corner, because it is constantly either collisions or even today, the passageway was blocked for us to get out of the driveway. School buses were lined up 4 or 5 deep just because there was an incident on that intersection. And that is going to continue happening. If we simply allow this development to move forward and congested with 5 additional dwellings, we're going to over-congest this corner even further. This is currently a safety nightmare. I nearly lost my life standing, talking to the gentleman who lives across the street from me. And as I was saying my goodbyes, about to walk across the street, a vehicle ran the stop sign there and nearly ran me over. The driver wasn't even paying attention. There's an inherent problem that doesn't even consider the development with that intersection that goes even further beyond this meeting. Now, there was a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. So just bear with me here. Yeah, and just to add to Dylan's point about parking, people do have more than one vehicle. It's very silly for us to assume that each dwelling is only going to have one individual living there with perhaps 1 to no vehicles. They're going to need a place to put it. Our home is set back a little bit further than the proposed development, and we can barely fit 2 cars in our driveway. So this tells me that with the sidewalk in place there, they're only going to be able to fit 1 car in their driveway. And where are they going to keep the second car? On the road? We can't do that overnight. So that's going to create some issues too. And lastly, I just want to add about the development itself. Although I agree that we do need to diversify and add additional homes, I want you to consider Kamoka and the surrounding area as it currently sits. There's a property near the water tower that is being sold off right now that was initially proposed with multiple developments. What's happening to those developments? The area behind the community center, or rather the like the YMCA, I'm not sure what the building is called exactly. There were several homes designated to be built there. It's now sitting abandoned. There's no progress there. Why are we going to assume that all of a sudden this is where we need to expand? Not to mention that on the west side of Kamoka Road, there is a plan to build several homes as well. Some of them are medium to high density units. I believe even a multi-story unit. So what's making you think that having 5 developments on a single severed lot is the right step forward? I really don't think it is, and I urge you to consider that. I'm not against the property being severed. I'm not against the property being severed. As a matter of fact, I think it would be a smart use of that space. However, that development would need to be with a single family home, perhaps a design that would allow a side entry to the garage or something, and a deeper, a better space, better use of space. It is a kind of an awkward lot, so please take this into consideration. But my number one priority, of course, here is the safety, our safety and the safety of my kids, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. And that fatality, I do not want you to have that on your hands.
If you could just state your name for the clerk.
Yeah, my name is Petro, Petro, and the last name is Tiahur, Tiahur.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else? Come. Oh, here, I'll turn it on it, and you're green.
Hi, my name is Sarah Blondia. I don't do this. I don't like public speaking, but my husband, Dylan, just spoke my name again, Sarah Blondia. I just wanted to recap what Petro just said. I understand that we want to diversify the housing in Komoka and have this opportunity for different incomes to come to a community that we just recently joined 3 years ago, and I truly enjoy it. I just don't know that it is at the right place that you are proposing to do this. There are other spots that could be used for this type of development. And I also know that when you create an environment that we already have kids that travel down that road by foot day after day. And when you are going to put multiple vehicles into a small environment, you are looking for bad results to potentially happen. So I just had to reiterate it because I don't understand why there. I understand why we're doing it as a community. I just don't understand why there. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any, yes, please, come on up. And oh, right, sorry, there we go.
There we go. All right. I'm Hannah Tiahur, Petra's wife. The other thing I wanted to comment and have people reflect on is the future traffic that will be going down Oxbow. Like I said, it's already kind of a dangerous corner. Again, we've seen a lot of run through the stop signs and all that, and seeing as there's no lights currently yet, we're only getting more people going down. It's not a main artery road yet, but it's still an artery, Oxbow is, with Komoka there. And with the proposal of future developments on the opposite side of Komoka Road there, where Petro was saying there was going to be high density and medium density, let alone low density being built, that road is going to become more busy. And with that said, unless the corner is addressed, again, I have to agree, I don't think this is the right type of development on this particular plot of land. It's just too close to the corner for it to be adding 3 more driveways that are already, well, that's non-existent at the moment. There's already 2 there right on the edge, grandfathered in obviously before it came. But I just don't think that's the right spot for that. That's all. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, did anyone come on at all? No? Okay, I was just checking to see if anybody jumped online. So there's no one else that wants to speak, so I will now look to members of the council with respect to questions I see go.
Okay, yep, thank you. Just questions for clarification through you, your worship, to Dan. I'm looking at the concept plan. So it looks like you had stated that they're trying for five units. It's going to be one big block, but it'll be 5 units in there. Looks like that's what's going to happen. With respect to the parking situation, when I look at the concept plan, there's these squares in front of these units. The smaller squares are going to be the driveways then. So allowance for a single car. Is that what the plan is? See what, if you start at lot 2, there's a small rectangle, then there's a bigger one, which I presume is grass.
That's a garage
Oh, is that a garage?
in there.
Oh, inside this unit, but what is this? What is the concept out front? You know, or is it too early to even ask that?
Yeah, so through the chair, no, I don't think it's too early to ask that because that's part of our consideration that we look at when we, rezone properties is to make sure functionally they can actually work for what the developer or builder is proposing as an end result. So in this particular instance, the skinnier flare outs, if you will, where you see the flare out towards the road and then the skinny line going in,
Yep.
represents the driveway.
Okay.
The square in front of that bumps out of the house is a garage. So as per zoning, they're required to have 2 parking stalls per unit. So each one of these particular townhouse dwellings has 2 parking stalls associated with it.
All right, so I got misinterpreted that. So the jet out is the garage. That's gonna have parking for 1 car and then 1 car on the side. That'll be paved, I presume,
1 car out front of the garage.
in front of the garage too.
That's correct, yeah.
And there, okay, so I presume doesn't look like there's space for another car in front of the garage, but okay, so there's space for, what is it? Is it a 2-story each type thing? It has to be 2 stories, I presume. Right?
So through the chair, the concept development plan is for a 2-story townhouse
All
development.
right, so multiple bedrooms, so you probably could have families in there most likely. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
And Councillor,
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I had a whole bunch of things to say, and now since listening, I have a whole bunch more things. So please bear with me. You know how it is. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their comments and for your letters. And of course, I have read them all and I've seen a couple of you in person. So I'm glad to hear that you understand the sort of the mandates that come from the provincial policy statement, et cetera. And you know, I always feel bad for people because they don't know that they understand, and I'm glad to see that you do. One of the things, it sort of comes down to, managing the growth is is where we're at here is, okay, this is going to happen. How are we going to manage this? What are the local concerns and what can we do? And I get asked all the time for a range of housing, whether it's seniors that have lived here for a very long time and they want to downsize. We do need the different density and types of housing. I just don't want to get ahead of myself. I do live around the corner. I do. My in-laws live right around the corner and my daughter lives the other way. So I am very, very familiar with this. At first, I understood that you had a problem with the parking on the road, and I did speak to Public Works and Engineering, and in the details of the report, they have put on there for potentially a lay-by to be put there or no parking, I believe from the corner to, well, there's already no parking by the school. And the other thing, as far as the intersection goes, you'll see in the report that the county engineer, because that's a county road, that the county engineer said that at this time, it doesn't need a set of lights. So I did, I don't know, maybe last year when we had a little run on accidents, I did talk to him about it, and he did send a crew out there and kind of did an analysis on the intersection to make sure that everything was in order. But in the past, him and I have talked about far off future plans there is plans for a set of lights to be there and sidewalks and probably, I believe he told me even both sides of Komoka Road. And the potential 250 units going in behind that other thing may possibly help drive that. But at this particular time, I don't know that it's necessarily going to happen for 5 units. And I don't mean that in the wrong way. So it is, you know, they did look at it and he did write that on there. And our Public Works had some comments on there too. I believe that it was about the parking. And so let me just see here. So, road parking. Oh, and somebody had made a comment, not tonight, but in the past about the school planning. And I fully agree with that. The schools don't look at what's coming. The quote is bums in the seats is how the school does their planning. So again, that's out of our hands. The other thing I just want to touch on a little bit. So first of all, this concept that we have tonight is not the end result. That'll be with Dan and Melchers and the owners, what exactly it looks like. This is more like, well, what would you put there if you had this zoning? So there will be more to come on that. And I just lost my train of thought. So it's, I just don't want to say this in the wrong way, but I probably will. If this was to be denied, it would just go to the OLT, and then the OLT is going to say, what did you do? Because quite honestly, from what the provincial policy statement and the Middlesex Center plan, the county plan, this ticks every single box for what they want to see. And so again, we come back to managing the growth and the situation around it. And the OLT is at taxpayer dollars to defend why we said that. The planning report already talks about why this is a great idea. And so the other thing that I wanted to touch on is all the other places. People will often say that to me, well, why don't they finish there or finish there? Keep in mind that they're different owners. Different owners own all of these things, and now here we have another owner, and this is what they would like to do. So I'm hoping that I touched on a bunch of what you've said or your concerns, but it is important to me that you understand what the process is and what's faced here. Again, the range and mix of land use. I believe that these are actually going to be rentals when there are 5 units on there. But yeah. But again, we need those, right? So anyways, I think that that's everything that I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Other comments, input? Okay. Councillor Arts?
Oh,
Sorry, your finger was quicker and the electronic cue is you.
okay. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Dan. The thing that's bothered me about this one is the parking, because there is a garage, correct?
Correct.
But then we all know what a 1-car garage is full of junk, so you never get the car in the garage. So going forward, I'd maybe like conditions on the parking, because I don't want them parking on the street. I don't want them parking around the corner. Ideally, the developer doesn't want to hear this. It'd be kind of nice if you put it down to 4 units and actually had a side area where people could park. But yeah, like I said, my concern is parking and I want to make it known that they're not parking anywhere but on this property. So you might have to do a little bit of configuring to figure that one out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Go ahead, Councillor Coles.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my comments were the same as Hugh's, to be honest. So I'm very pleased that this is coming forward, because we do need additional housing types. It's very important in the neighborhood. As far, and infill is much preferred rather than taking away more farmland. So that's something that we don't want to do. In this case, we already have infrastructure there, so we want to use that. But my comments are really about the cars. Again, we know that they're going to have more than 1 car. We don't have the transit that other communities do. So everyone has a car and their teenagers are staying home longer and longer and they all have cars too. So all of those issues will come. So I'd also like to see what Hugh had mentioned, some extra parking spots available, at least 2-car spots, not the garage included, and maybe some also no parking on the road. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? Oh, yes, go ahead, Council.
Through,
Yeah, Shipley?
Dan, we don't have any idea at this time how big this garage is going to be. Like some of these garages they build now, you might get a riding lawnmower in. You won't get a truck yet. So do we have any concept of size on these garages right now?
Yeah, so through the chair, we can't, like through the site plan control process, we're technically not including design review of the structures. But with that said, because the garage counts, will likely count for one of the parking stalls, it would at least need to meet the minimum size requirement of a parking stall in the zoning bylaw. So rest assured, in theory, it can fit a car if people choose to park in there. I know comments come, people tend to use garages for other purposes. But we have been very cognizant of that, especially working with our folks in the building department, making sure that, because sometimes there's situations where, you know, grade changes in garages and then there's a large staircase and which then limits the parking stalls in the garage. So we've been very cognizant to work with our building folks as well as part of the site plan review and as the essential building permit to make sure that a physical vehicle can fit within that garage.
I see your hand up, Councillor. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering if Rob, if you have anything that you'd like to add about the parking or a lay-by or anything from everybody's comments? If you do, thank you.
Sure, through the mayor to Councillor Cates. So I say, as far as on-street parking, I think if you have public parking on the street, there's no way we can tell them that they can't park there, right? If it's either public or it's not. To make no parking along that street would be an option. But we've looked at the possibility of including laybys, or the developer including laybys in front of those units. There's enough width on that side of the road between the sidewalk and the curb that it could be assigned no parking on the south side with parking on the laybys on the north side. And when the school develops in the future, because we know that there's gonna be an expansion at the school, it's something similar could be done there as well on that side of the road for laybys for some parking near the school. I mean, that doesn't deal with the 5 additional access points on the road, and it is, 5 compared to 24. If you look at the traffic volumes on the road, it's in the 1,500 to 2,000 per day right now. So 5 additional units is a fraction of the volume that's already on that road. So as far as the traffic impact, it's relatively negligible. But I understand the concerns of parking.
Go ahead.
When you mean lay-by, which side of the road, that would be on the side of the development? And with the laneways, would the lay-by even fit between laneways?
So if the laneways are built jointly on the units,
Yeah.
you should have enough space to do single laybys between them. So you're not going to fit 5 across the front of the development. You might fit 3.
Okay.
And then again, maybe some more further down the road in front of the school. So it provides some level of on-street parking. The road right now is about 8 meters, which is our typical road width where we allow parking. But given the volumes on that road, Andrew and I have discussed about whether or not, right now it has a center line down the middle, right? It's two 4-meter lanes.
Yep.
There's no defined parking. So we can look at adjusting that road to either have defined parking on one side of the road, either on-street parking defined or in laybys. But the way it is right now, if somebody parks on the road, it's not a good situation. So,
No,
yeah.
that's like I've driven down. Okay.
And just a follow on to Councillor Art's question then, how does that lay-by business work with snow removal and winter?
Fair question. So we don't currently have any yet that
Yeah.
are assumed.
Yeah.
We have some in Kilworth Heights West, which we will be assuming. And so we have to, prior to assumption of that, we have to decide how the on-street parking, whether overnight parking will be allowed in laybys or if it won't be allowed there either. So as far as maintenance, so it'll be a slight adjustment from from what our operators are used to, but they're all over the place. I mean, they can easily be maintained as so long as the cars are removed for a period of time. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that. Cars should be removed for a period of time and the ticketing that happens in the fall, winter, when we get the first snow and the cars are on the road. That we have to go around, we have had some, yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Counselor. Oops, gotcha.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to agree with Councillor Arts on this. I don't think we have enough parking here. Like, I can just see this causing problems in the winter for one thing. And, you know, don't park your car here, park your car here. They get trapped in, can't get out. Like, I don't know, I'd be supporting what Councillor Arts said. We cut this back to 4 units instead of the 5 and make a parking spot at the end. Thank you.
Here's your response to me.
Oh, go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, he kind of stole my thunder there, but one thing that hasn't been said, a lot of stuff has been said here. I think you understand our position. The province is coming down heavy with criteria. They want infill everywhere. So it hasn't been said, but I rate Melchers as a good developer, a good business. You work there, Dan. They're in the community. I expect them to do the right thing. I think the best we can do is take the message back to your boss and say, and to the owner, can we eliminate lot 6 and put parking there? And we can't do that can we do that in site plan or through you, your worship, to Dan? We can't restrict this, can we? We can't say, oh, you got to go 4 lots and put parking on the side. Can you comment on that?
So through the chair, we can certainly seek that type of activity to occur, but my recommendation to council, if that's very important, then I would be looking at potentially putting a cap on the number of units through the site-specific zone, and then adding some type of specific parking stall requirement. So if the existing zoning would require 2 parking stalls, you'd be looking at something beyond that to, an enhanced parking standard within the area. So it would need to be my preference would be that you would cement that somehow through the zoning, the site-specific zone.
You're not on. Sorry. That would be appealable, wouldn't it? We put that in.
So through the chair, any decision by council by the developer is appealable.
I should just clarify then. Well, so just to clarify, we have a motion before us. If we want to refer it back to staff or make a motion about the parking, then that would be a different motion, and then it would come back to us.
Yeah, so through the chair, the only thing I would note is it's hard to make amendments on the spot, especially when you're talking about things that may be outside of the scope of what we considered at this point. So if council does want to make amendments, the recommendation from staff would always be to refer it back to us.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but tell us exactly why you're referring it back to us.
Yeah,
so
that's
that
why,
we
I
can
would-
direct,
yeah, that was what I was saying is if we're thinking that way, what we need to do is give direction to staff on how to move forward. So we have to refer it back, but we need to put a box around what it is we want to look at. Okay, go ahead, Councillor, you're on.
To you, Madam Mayor. So I've partly lost my question here. Do we, yeah, I hear you about the parking. What I was gonna say was, we're still we don't know for sure that this is gonna be 5 units. This is just a concept here. There is the opportunity that they will hear the input. I guess that doesn't guarantee us that, it won't happen. I feel a little bit like when I have talked about parking till I'm blue in the face on some other things and nothing happens, and now here we are. I guess that's all I have to say. That's I'd sooner get this taken care of tonight.
So you'd rather,
That we take care of this tonight.
okay, well, the motion before us is a consent be granted. So if that would grant, if you want to refer it back to staff and get input, as I'm hearing from some of you, then that motion needs to be amended. So I guess I'm open to hearing if there's someone who wants to make a motion. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we refer this back to the planning staff to address the parking issues within the development.
Come back with a, yeah, and come back with a
Yeah,
recommendation.
and
then.
come back with recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion before I have Councillor Shipley seconding it. I'll call the vote. All in favor of that motion? 2, 3. It's unanimous. Okay, that is carried, and we'll hear back from you when we have more detail. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we can move now on to item 9.2, which is 15117 Medway Road, filed by Monteith Brown Planning Consultants. Jay McGuffin is here on behalf of Mustafa Heikel. So Marion Francis Cabral is going to present the report, and the floor is yours when you're ready. Maybe we'll just wait a minute till everyone who wants to go is gone. Okay, take it away, Marion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. So the purpose of this report is to provide information to council regarding the requested official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for the lands at 15117 Medway Road. The purpose of the official plan amendment is to redesignate the land to an agricultural designation with a special policy area that would permit a sports facility, including a place of recreation, and uses in association with the sports facility, including a place of entertainment, day nursery, hotel or motel, restaurant, and retail store. And the purpose of the rezoning application is to rezone the lands to a new site-specific Parks and Recreation Zone to permit all uses within the Parks and Recreation Zone and an existing dwelling unit and uses associated with the place of recreation, including a place of entertainment, day nursery, hotel and motel, office, restaurant, and retail store. Further, the rezoning request would implement a minimum building setback of 20 meters to adjacent properties zoned for agriculture and limit the maximum lot coverage to 30%. And finally, the applicant is proposing a site-specific holding symbol be placed on the lands that would require several technical studies to be completed and implemented through the site plan approval process prior to any development on the land. And some of the studies that they have indicated include a development assessment report, functional servicing report, and updated traffic impact assessment. And the effect of these applications would permit a new private indoor sports facility, inclusive of a soccer field, running track, various courts, day nursery, restaurant, overnight accommodation, and retail store and office space associated with the sports facility. The building is proposed to be 3 stories in height and have approximately 297,000 square feet of floor space. As proposed, the building represents approximately 26% lot coverage and is proposed to be located in the southeast corner of this property. Proposed servicing includes private on-site wastewater treatment plant as well as a well in accordance with provincial regulations. Additionally, stormwater is proposed to be managed on-site. The applicant is also proposing 831 surface parking spaces. Of course, this is still conceptual and subject to change. And this would be primarily located on the north and west of the building, and some parking is proposed to be wrapping around the east and south sides of the building. This property is approximately 26 acres in area and has just over 1,000 feet of frontage onto Medway Road. However, approximately 14.8 acres of this 26 acres is actively farmed, and this is where the development would be proposed. The property also contains an existing dwelling in the northwest corner of the property, and that will be maintained with the proposed development and will use the existing driveway and access to Medway Road. On the lands as well, West Stony Creek crosses the north of the land from east to west, parallel to Medway Road, and connects to a pond and wetland feature and the Armitage drain in the northwest corner of this property, and that's in proximity to the existing dwelling. And of course, these features are regulated by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. Additionally, significant woodland, wetlands, and other natural heritage features are located immediately west of this property and connect the subject lands to the larger natural heritage system to the west and to the south of the land. In this area, there is active agricultural land that surrounds the subject property to the south, east, and north. And this is inclusive of rural or farm-related residences. The subject land is also west of the hamlet of Ballymote and east of an existing golf course. And the City of London boundary limit is located in proximity just to the south of the property. So this property is currently designated agriculture and zoned agriculture in our zoning bylaw. The PPS generally speaks to the protection of agricultural land, the agri-food network, and the agricultural system for long-term use. This includes the maintenance of the agricultural land base and prime agricultural areas. Permitted uses are generally agricultural uses, agriculturally related uses, and limited on-farm diversified uses. However, the PPS does provide opportunities for other permitted non-agricultural uses within the prime agricultural area. And there's a set of criteria that the PPS also identifies that any non-agricultural proposal would need to adhere to. And then it also included, or that policy also speaks to the identified need for in the planning horizon for this type of use and the evaluation of alternative locations to avoid prime agricultural areas. And these policies are also pretty consistent within the county official plan as well as the Middlesex Center official plan. So notice of these applications were circulated to area residents, agencies, and staff, and details of the application are also available on the municipal website. Staff had discussions with residents and also received correspondence from residents, and these are appended to the staff report and have been circulated to council as well. Generally, residents have expressed concern about the scale of the proposal and overall compatibility with the surrounding agricultural area. They've also stated that the proposal is not in keeping with the official plan direction for the agricultural area and has not met the tests of the PPS. Additionally, the development is contrary to the servicing master plan, which supports most growth and development in urban areas or hamlet areas with full or partial servicing. Further, there is concern about the impacts on natural features to the west of the property and impact on groundwater. Residents have also expressed concerns with the overall increase in traffic on Medway Road as well as Highbury Avenue North, which is located just east of this development. There's also concern about the development plan and that will be scaled much larger and for additional uses that are not shown on this plan, such as a concert facility. Additionally, the City of London had also provided comments and expressed concern that the development may act as a precursor to further non-agricultural encroachment, reinforcing pressure for urban expansion and undermining long-term rural and land use patterns. UTRCA has also provided correspondence and have been actively collaborating with staff as well as the proponent throughout our review. Their detailed comments are provided attached to the staff report, and they do comment on the development assessment report, the site servicing brief, and other reports submitted by the applicant as well. Municipal staff did comment on the application and identified that the application does not yet demonstrate feasibility with regard to servicing, flooding, access, drain crossings, and transportation. Community Services had reviewed the application as generally in support of the range of recreational opportunities. However, additional information will need to be provided to understand how this facility will be operated and designed and constructed to industry standards to maintain safety. The county engineer reviewed the application, identified that improvements to Medway Road would be required, and this includes the construction of a left and right turn lane. As well, Middlesex County Economic Development has also reviewed this application, is generally in support of this type of proposal, especially within proximity to the City of London. However, they do acknowledge that there needs to be a balance between the development objectives as well as environmental considerations and community compatibility. And finally, planning staff note that the scale and intensity of the development is more appropriate for an urban settlement area with access to full municipal servicing, access to better and more higher order of transportation network, and located in proximity to users. And this is supported by the municipal direction within our official plan to limit non-agricultural uses and in the agricultural area unless impacts can be mitigated and where common agricultural activities cannot continue. So at this time, staff recommend that this report be received for information, and this is to solicit feedback from council and from the public. And we will continue to work with the applicant and partnering agencies, and at a future date, we'll come back with a recommendation.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, we would look to the agent or applicant to come and present to us. And it's on already. I see it screens. So
Yes.
when you are ready, gentlemen, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Jay McGuffin, Principal Planner, Monteith Brown Planning Consultants. I'm joined this evening with Adam LeGroux, one of our planners, as well as our client and the proponent, Mustafa Heikel, is also joining us and will be available for questions should council have any. I'd like to split time, if I may, or if we can consolidate time between myself and my colleague, Mr. LeGroux. I'm going to ask Mr. LeGroux to just run council through our presentation, and then we'll both be available to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you, council, and through the chair. As Jay said, we've prepared a presentation to present the development to council here and the public. So we're here on behalf of the proponent, Heikel Group, and Heikel Group owns 5 businesses throughout Middlesex and Lambton counties. They've come together with the core vision of building families and businesses and communities that can thrive. And Jay and I are here from Monteith Brown Planning Consultants. We're a consulting firm out of London, and we have over 50 years of, or close to 50 years of experience in land use planning on developing residential communities, parks and recreation plans, community master plans, and all sorts of land development projects. So specifically with this project, the subject lands are about 10 hectares or 26 acres, as Marion noted, and are located along Medway Road. It currently has a single detached dwelling with an accessory shop, and there's a creek crossing the north portion of the property, along with an existing road driveway crossing that road. For some regional context, the site is located in proximity to the Ballymote settlement area, in between Ballymote and Arva, and it has convenient transportation routes into the surrounding Middlesex Center community and to communities beyond. Medway Road connects down. You can connect up to Highway 22 to get to Strathroy and Sarnia beyond. Quickly convenienced access from Highway 4 up to Lucan and Exeter and beyond, and then Highbury Ave, which connects down to the 401 and to surrounding communities. So the development vision for the site, as we're here on behalf of the developer, the goal that they are trying to achieve is providing recreational opportunities within Middlesex Center, creating jobs for the local community, and providing access to these recreational opportunities from beyond that can bring that tourism into Middlesex Center. So those are kind of the key 3 goals. And the concept plan that has been prepared and is shown today, it fills a missing gap that is currently missing in Middlesex Center. Families are currently traveling from outside of the municipality into London, into other regions to get their sports needs. And local teams are having troubles to find space for their practices. The applicant has identified these gaps and is trying to fill that opportunity. So the size of the concept that we have prepared will allow for many indoor facilities. These will be year-round facilities that can provide benefit throughout the year. Soccer is an identified need, and baseball is huge in the community. So this center could provide opportunities for students and adults too to continue those activities year-round. It's going to be more than just a sports facility. It's going to be a community hub where everyone can come together. And that's really where the scale comes in and why having multiple uses together, it really facilitates that community sense. You can have children practicing their sports and then grandma and grandpa watch and then go play pickleball after. It's really a family center. As well with the physiotherapy, you know, if Timmy breaks his leg during his soccer practice, he can go to physio while his team's practicing and still feel like he's still involved. So the associated spaces would be operated only in association with the recreational facility. So this would allow for things like sports teams to have their local offices, sales and service for the sports, and overnight accommodation for the sports teams that are coming from beyond for tournaments. So it's really the vision of the proposed concept is to build a home for sports, not just a sports facility. So a little bit about the planning applications. So we've reviewed the community service master plan. It has identified some recommendations, including public and private collaboration. There have been identified needs for larger scale facilities within Middlesex Center, specifically the north of the Middlesex Center. There's been a demand for large public infrastructure and a need for lighted soccer fields. So this indoor facility can operate not just at night, but year round. In terms of the official plan, yes, it is in an agricultural designation. As such, we've prepared an agricultural impact assessment, which included an alternative site evaluation. We looked at lands throughout the municipality, specifically Ilderton, as the need was identified in the northern end of the municipality. And there are no large enough parcels within the settlement area on lower priority farmland. Surrounding Ilderton is all high priority farmland. As you can see, the subject site is co-located with another large-scale recreational use, and it's surrounded by natural heritage features. So we're not fragmenting the farmland, we're taking a small chunk out, and we're not changing the underlying agricultural designation, we're just proposing a special policy designation to allow the use. In terms of the zoning, we're proposing a parks and recreation zone, and that would be similar to what is on the adjacent Lindenshire golf course, except we'd have a special provision to allow the overnight accommodation, the restaurant, and those types of uses in association with the place of recreation. So they won't be permitted to operate on their own. They'd have to be in association with the place of recreation. So we've completed some technical studies, some preliminary looks into servicing, flood modeling, in the environment have already been initiated, and they'll continue. The site plan stage is where things will get really refined and will really refine the built form of this facility. We have our traffic impact professional online, and he'll be available to answer questions as they relate to traffic. And as I stated, we've completed an agricultural impact assessment and a planning justification report with the application. So as Marion said, this meeting is just for council and public information, and it'll have to come back to a later council date for decision. After council makes a decision on an endorsement, it'll have to go to county council as it's an official plan amendment. And then afterwards, it'll have to go to site plan approval, where the built form can really further be refined. And so I'll leave that as our time, and as the agenda allows, we will be available to answer questions.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation. I will now call on members of the public who have registered to provide comments.
Yes, I believe, do we have Henry Meredith present? We do have your comments, Henry. Please come forward to speak.
Spent 5 hours in the dentist chair this afternoon, so this is my.
This is going to be easier.
Yeah. No, this is the 7th inning stretch here.
Okay.
But I also want to say that I'll do my best. Excuse me. Can you hear me?
I'll remind you about the 5-minute timeline.
Right. Now, nobody else has followed that all night, but that's all right. Because in fact, I'm going to use some notes here to assure that I do stay within 5 minutes. So thank you very much. My name is Henry Meredith, and since January of 1985, my wife Victoria and I have lived at 15088 Medway Road, historically significant as the location of the Ballymote Cheese Factory. Our 41 years as members of this community are eclipsed by several families who have resided here for many additional decades, stretching back to the late 19th century and before. Our purpose in moving to this unique rural community was to get away from it all. Of the many residents we have spoken to after only a few of us received this formal notice of this proposal for rezoning, all have been opposed to the encroachment of the peace and quiet that we enjoy out here. Furthermore, none of us was asked in advance by the owner and the applicant or the planner whether a major sports center would be a welcome addition to our neighborhood. Neither were we approached about previous projects carried out at the same address, an Airbnb, a outdoor rehearsal area for ethnic drumming. When we examine the numerous places in North London and in Middlesex County that already exist, and which can accommodate the types of activities proposed, we find that they are available to and easily accessible by any members of the Arva Ballymote community who seek to take advantage of them. Among these venues, without taking time now to describe their offerings, as they are detailed in a written list that I handed to the assistant clerk, Weldon Park, Lindenshire Golf and Country Club, Stony Creek Community Center, YMCA and Library, just down the road, Good Life Fitness Centers, 2 of them, one unfortunately out of commission right now, London Aquatic Center, North London Athletic Fields, Windermere Fields, Northridge Fields, BMO Center, Stony Brook Recreational Field and Dan Putnam Field, both near to the Waltzing Weasel Pub, there's a restaurant, and the Tin Cup Miniature Golf Course and Driving Range. Also nearby are hiking trails around the north branch of the Thames River and a sizable dog park. Additionally, Middlesex residents can take advantage of facilities provided by numerous nearby public schools, whose classrooms, gyms, auditoriums, and outside grounds are all subsidized and encouraged by the Thames Valley School Board's community use policy at minimum expense, for example, insurance and some surcharges. As an example, for several years, I used the music room in Jack Chambers Public School, which is located just 4 minutes from my house, for weekly rehearsals of my plumbing factory brass band. Such creative use of facilities at the 2 schools on Medway Road, Medway High School and Centennial Central Public School, as well as at Mother Teresa Catholic Secondary School, could no doubt be arranged. From the numerous possibilities for activities and services described already in the 15 or 20 or more nearby venues, which duplicate what the rezoning proposal offers, with the exception of a hotel, it seems as though a relative newcomer to our rural community is taking advantage of us for a commercial venture to create private profit while simultaneously devaluing surrounding properties and reducing available farmland that is ever shrinking across the region. Perhaps the owner and applicant should consider these venues that I've summarized. They might discover that these places, which are already built and operational, provide free or low-cost access to similar or identical services to those in their plan, which would likely negate any profits they might hope to gain. Beyond that is the time and expense of constructing a 3-story eyesore and sunset obstructor, along with the concomitant noise, traffic, and pollution problems, all of which will annoy most of their neighbors and thus likely eliminate them as potential customers. I trust that common sense will prevail and that this proposal will not be approved. Thank you very much for your careful consideration of this matter.
Thank you.
Was I within the limit?
You got a minute to go.
Yeah. Well, I could
take
answer
your time.
questions in that minute if you'd like, or,
We'll loop back around.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There is a required process here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So-
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we do have
Okay,
one member.
Lois Quayle
Yes, virtually.
is next. Oh, she's virtually.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll look for the screen. Not showing up. So we'll go to the next one.
If you could just give me the mic. Okay, so we do have, yes, we do have, to try again. Okay, so we do have Lois Quill registered virtually, and if she does have tech issues, she has designated Michael Code to speak on her behalf. So we'll invite Lois again virtually. Yes, okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, Lois. The floor is yours, and if you'd watch your clock for 5 minutes, we'd appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for bearing with me. Technology was tricky. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm reading.
I'm with you.
Mayor DeVries and members of council, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak regarding Mr. Heichel's applications at 15117 Medway Road. Before I begin, I would like to note that while other residents may also be speaking on this application, the comments I'm making this evening are my own and reflect my own concerns as the owner of the neighboring property. My name is Lois Quayle, and I own the property at 15083 Medway Road. To give you context, the property to which the applications apply is directly to the east of my property. With a little research, I was surprised to learn that Mr. Heichel also owns the property immediately to the west of me, and Sifton owns the property to the south. In a sense, I feel I am in a development squeeze, and it is uncomfortable. Now, I do not pretend to be naive. Even when I purchased my home in 2000, 26 years ago, I understood that I was on the edge of a growing city and that it was inevitable that the area would change one day. However, that day came suddenly, and the proposed scale is jaw-dropping. When considering size, I often find it helpful to use comparison. It makes abstract numbers more relatable. Mr. Heichel's proposed project is 297,000 square feet. Costco, down in Wonderland, on the other hand, is 151,000 square feet, making the development 1.97 times larger. Let that number sink in. Even if the development is reduced in size by 1/2, it will still be the size of Costco. Add to that the proposed 831 parking spaces, and we will have a major regional destination, not a facility geared towards rural use. Please keep in mind the scale of the proposal as you consider the reports before you that identify outstanding concerns related to servicing, drainage, transportation, access, environmental impacts, and other technical matters. In their report, the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority raises important questions regarding wetlands, flood-related considerations, and site access. I was interested to learn that additional access routes may be required and that those routes could affect wetland areas. They also indicate that additional flood hazard work and confirmation of safe access may still be required. These are not minor details. They are fundamental considerations that help determine whether this site is suitable for a development of this scale. As the adjacent property owner, I am also deeply concerned about the day-to-day impacts on my home and quality of life. A development combining recreation, restaurants, retail, entertainment, and overnight accommodations will inevitably generate 24-hour noise, traffic, lighting, deliveries, and activity. It also raises the likelihood of trespassing, litter, garbage, and reduced privacy and security on my property. However, my greatest concern is the proposed on-site sewage treatment plant system. It would be located upstream of both provincially significant wetlands and the watercourse that runs the full length of my property, placing my land in a particularly vulnerable position should anything go wrong. What could possibly go wrong? I believe my property, I'm hoping my property is the only one in the community that is affected this way. My concerns are not based on opposition to development itself. That would be foolish. They are based on whether this proposal has demonstrated that it is appropriate for this location and whether the significant servicing, transportation, environmental, and infrastructure issues have been adequately resolved. At this point, I do not believe that standard has been met. For those reasons, I respectfully ask Council to decline to approve OPA 75 and ZBA 11/2026, unless and until the applicant has clearly demonstrated compliance with applicable planning policies and satisfactorily addressed the outstanding concerns. I thank you so much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. And do we have one more, right?
No, so that's our traffic consultant, so we can move to PT clerk here.
Okay. Okay, the clerk has assured me there's no one else that we have to touch base with electronically, so I will look to persons in the audience who'd like to come forward and speak. Yep. Good evening. You'll see it's green already, so you'll be able to speak if you would let the clerk know who you are, please.
Okay.
And 5-minute rules, the usual.
So Barton Howden, I'm at 15303 Medway Road, Madam Mayor, Council. My big concern with this proposal, I think a lot of the same points have been raised already. You know, sewage treatment, and it seems odd to me that we would put a sewage treatment plant on a facility like this when we're so close to the city. Like, they should be building something like this in an area where there is municipal sewage treatment available, and not having to build some small secondary plant that will have to be ultimately managed somehow by and tested, I assume, by the municipality. So we're incurring extra cost as ratepayers and whatnot, right? And then also the well water issue. It's a huge facility. You're talking about, I think it was 800 parking spaces. I don't know how many people are going to be in here, but it's going to be probably hundreds of thousands of liters of water a day. So there's going to be major impacts there. But my biggest concern, particularly where I am and some of my neighbors as well, is the traffic. The level of traffic on Medway Road is already seriously impacted by the volume of construction that's happened in Thorndale. There's a lot more houses going up in Thorndale over the next God knows how many years, and that's going to increase that pressure that much more. When I read the numbers in the planning, maybe I've got it wrong, but some of the peak numbers were like a car every 4 seconds additional on Medway Road. So that's a lot. I realize not all of that will be coming across Medway Road our way, but certainly it's a huge impact that we're already noticing a lot over the last few years. I don't know what the traffic increase has been. I'd be interested to see any information on that that's been made available, any studies that have been done, but certainly the truck traffic, the residential vehicular traffic at rush hour, sometimes it backs up outside of the community that we're in. So like a kilometer long backup in a little hamlet like Ballymote seems kind of ridiculous to me. So and I'll just leave it at that. I think those are the key points that I'd like to make. I think it's a much bigger facility than you would expect for some little place like Ballymote. It seems ridiculous. So, okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Okay, my name is MJ Riscala. I'm a resident of Elderton, Martin Drive. I'm just here to talk about soccer. So we're here to score more goals. And yes, we need to score more goals. Canada scored 1 goal. We want to score more. Without having a field to play soccer or train inside a turf field in Canada, this is impossible to improve. We have to improve. We have to get better. I have a son, 13 years old, moved to Elderton. I cannot find a club in Elderton or anywhere in Middlesex to take him to play in the winter. So we need a facility, has this covered place. In London, we used to have one near the airport that's not there anymore. Now we have BMO Center. You go anywhere, anytime to BMO Center. There's no parking spot. There's no place to play. The training, like 8 teams play in a quarter field. So we need this facility. The other thing is comparing ourselves. Like again, I'm from London, I originally came to Ilderton. Like what's how many people in this area? 400,000, 500,000? In Iceland, 400,000 people. They have 7 indoor facilities and they're working in the 8. So when are we gonna start to have more? And if we said no because of this, because of that, because they think they're gonna play indoor in a school to break their knees. It's not gonna happen. We need a soccer facility. We need sports. We need our kids to score more goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? So, yep.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name's Todd Copeland. I'm going to speak at it from a few different angles. I've been a resident of Ilderton, Middlesex Center for 24 years. Raised my kids here, my family. Moved from Toronto to Ilderton 24 years ago, and it's been great and fantastic. I'm very community minded, get involved in different things. I've been involved in minor sports, creating opportunities for kids to participate in sports. President of minor hockey for 10 years. And then secondarily, in my professional career, I support entrepreneurs and small business owners on realizing their visions and dreams. And so I'll kind of combine all 3 into one and sort of just present sort of just some initial thoughts on this. And I'm not going to talk about the appropriateness of the land use or the concerns of neighboring residents or that type of thing, because I think these are all things that have to be taken into consideration. And I think there's processes for consultants to be involved in those things and hatch out those types of things. So I guess my observation is Middlesex Center has been rapidly growing since the time being that I've been here. When I moved to Ilderton, it was vacant land behind me, and I used to hit golf balls off my backyard, and it was I had like my own golf course, right? That's obviously grown a significant amount. We need to kind of keep up as more and more residents move to these rural communities by choice. Access to services, recreational facilities, these type of things. The municipality is doing a great job of trying to keep up with those demands, but there's also sometimes we need others to step in and fill the void. And so, my observation from the youth leagues and adult sports clubs that because adults like to participate in recreation too, we know that pickleball and everything else. I think there is a shortage of in particularly year-round recreational space similar to what's proposed. It's a very ambitious proposal, but it provides space that doesn't exist. It's very unique to our municipality. It doesn't exist in most municipalities. So the fact that there's a proposal out there, I think is a fantastic thing. And it's also a need. I know from being involved in multi-sports, people are looking to keep their kids involved and engaged and also participate in year-round activities in sports. An indoor field not only benefit people that want to do that, but think of the ancillary benefits of it to the local high school instead of having your kids, as having my kids involved in using those facilities, going down into London in the middle of a work day to South End for them to participate in an indoor facility is not convenient from a residential standpoint. But speaking from like a vision of an entrepreneur, a community builder, definitely, I think the individual that's involved in this, I've seen them at work. building childcare facilities across Middlesex County, not only within Middlesex, but also in Lambton. And he's always had ambitious dreams and delivered on them, just speaking from a character standpoint. This sports facility, I guess, is a natural extension of his prior business models, creates opportunity to integrate childcare, youth sports, family wellness under one roof. Further, the project will be an economic driver for our municipality, create local jobs during construction and operations, and then and also the tourism aspect that's built into this. And there is a lack of overnight accommodations to support any kind of tournaments at any municipal owned facility within the region. So I guess my final conclusion, and am I still in with time? Yeah, I think so, is that investing in recreation is investing in the mental health and physical well-being of our residents, our communities, our kids. A proposal like this, I think, holds a lot of promise from, if I'm talking from a resident standpoint, for having this as an asset within our community. So I think I'll leave it at that. And thank you for your consideration and continued leadership.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. Oh, I do. Okay.
I wasn't prepared for this, so be patient with me here. My name is Joe Ryder, and I'm the general manager for London and Middlesex Legion Track and Field. And I wasn't ready to do this. I just came here to support this proposal, not knowing the format and the form. But for us, it's fairly easy to support this. And I'll give you our perspective. First of all, tomorrow I'm going with 2 Middlesex athletes to Ottawa for the Canadian National Championships. We got Kyler Jenny from they're both Camoka kids, both go to Medway. So that's where my focus was and still is. So we're pretty proud of them. And Jorgensen, Ryan, if you know or heard of him, got a big scholarship at Butler University in Indiana, and he's going to the Worlds. But I guarantee it. Good guy. So I heard a lot of concerns, and rightly so. I get it. I've lived in London and Middlesex for all my life. And we've run this volunteer program as a retirement project. And we've taken through lots of athletes, including Alicia Newman and all of those people. Now, by the way, Alicia Newman's building a facility. Guess where she's building it? She's building it north in Bolton, right? I asked her, if you ask her bluntly, would she build it here? Too difficult to do it. It'd be too hard, especially in London. So I go tomorrow to focus on kids. And I'll tell you, I'm a little nervous because they asked me for input for what's going on in our sport. And every year I have to sign a document saying I'm going to report neglect and discrimination. Okay? So I take that seriously. I have to report every incident of neglect and discrimination. So in my town of London and in Middlesex, I see every day neglect and discrimination from our sport governing body to our municipalities to our school boards, to be honest, right? And we don't have the facilities. So when we look at our sports programs and what we see in our sport, track and field, and I see it in others, is that the kids that can't afford it aren't playing. And it's a massive drop-off. Unbelievable. They can't afford it. And the parents, well, we've got Canadian Tire, we got kids sport, we got all these things. In practical, when the parents have to put their T4s up or their kids have to admit they're poor, like I don't know how many of you folks live poor. I was born on York Street, right where behind Hennigan and O'Neill Funeral Home is. I grew up poor. I identify with the poor. That's not a weakness, that's a strength, okay? But every day I see neglect and discrimination across the board because my estimation is 50,000 kids in this region will never participate in organized sport. Then we have guys, to be honest with you, that are trying to change that, and they're pilloried because they're recognizing that there's neglect and discrimination, and it's got to change. And I hear all the naysayers, but what's your solution to the 50,000 kids in our region? If you've got one, I'd like to hear it. Is it paying for access? Because these kids don't have access. They're neglected. The second thing I want to tell you about is what I told these guys too in our sport governing bodies and our politicians, my MPs, my MPP, my mayor, everybody. So we have a crisis in mental and physical health with youth. And it started before COVID. Let me tell you a pop quiz. Which country in the world had the worst teen and alcohol abuse problem? Be pre-COVID. You're living in it, Canada. Look it up, OECD statistics pre-COVID. Kids got smart after COVID. They started to self-heal, but that's all on their own doing. It isn't anything. Am I getting close to the end here? Okay, I apologize. I'll wrap it up quick. But we then allowed people to do, and I would have done it too, but the legalization of alcohol or of marijuana, disaster for youth. Implement it, yes. Put control so people don't go to jail for using it. But for God's sake, put some programs in place to tell kids not to use it or give them some cessation program. And then COVID came on, and you don't know the impact. We were on the front line. If you could see what we saw in COVID, it was a disaster for kids not being able to be connected. So I'm going to wrap it up quick, and I'm sorry I didn't even know I was going to do this, but we have guys working on this neglect and discrimination and this mental and physical health crisis, and they should be applauded and supported to the nines. That's what I'm asking you to do. And, one last thing. I heard all this wonderful school access. You want my report that I gave to our local politicians on access, to school boards and all the rest of it? You're more than welcome to it because you will be highly embarrassed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone. You don't have anyone else left online? Okay, in that case, we can now move to members. Yeah. Oh, I don't have my. Sorry, one page. Sorry, I turned the page and I've got my list here. Okay, so we've had everyone who's registered and those who've come forward. I will now turn to members of council for questions, comments, anything else you'd like to add. And the green light goes to Councillor Burrs.
Okay, so a few things. First of all, it looks awesome, the facility, the design of it. So I do have a question. So if you want to build this, I presume you have the resources. This is to either the planners or the applicant. You have the financial resources to pull it off rather than we get halfway through and can't do it. Can you answer that? Yeah. So,
Hi, Council and Mayor. Thank you very much for your time and the question. Yes, we do have the resources. We've already connected with a lot of investors. We started our first business here in Arva in 2019. We've built our reputation and we've built a good network with the investors, banks, and there's also a huge grant application that will be available in October. So there's a lot of options to get this done. Depending, of course, on the size, we'll have our plans with the again, which bank are we going to use, which investors,
okay.
And again, we do have the resources.
All right. So my next question is, there's going to be a waste treatment plant involved here.
Correct.
Versus there's no municipal wastewater treatment plant there. What's the reason for it? Is it the quantity of the refuse, or is there like high nitrates there? Or can you talk to that a bit?
It's more of a question to the consultants that I think they would be answer, but.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Burrs. I'm not a sanitary engineer, but my layman's understanding is it's the volume of effluent that needs to be treated and the size of
Okay.
field that would be necessary is the correlating factor into why the treatment facility has been chosen. A similar approach, I understand, is being undertaken at the Epic Center in South Middlesex.
Yeah, that's true. They have high nitrates there, though. That's why they're doing it. Just to follow on it, is this on municipal water, do you know, or is it wells? It's wells?
I believe it is on well.
Okay, thank you. That's enough for now.
My turn. Yep. Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I have a few things I want to say. So first of all, I just want to point out to several people that have made some comments. Tonight, we aren't voting to approve or not approve this. This is tonight, it will just be received for information. And then there will be multiple other steps that will happen. So I just wanted to, sometimes I see people say they voted yes, what happened? And so I just want to point that out first. Let's see in the right order. It's a very wonderful, ambitious, the pictures are amazing. I do acknowledge the agricultural land component to this, and the servicing, the private servicing is a huge undertaking. And again, those details will get worked out as the experts get further involved, because that's certainly not me. And again, there's future details and recommendations to come. I think that we absolutely can't ignore what this brings to our community. Usually we're sitting here in a situation like this, facing that it's going to be a new development with multiple houses. And here instead, we are faced with this wonderful complex that will bring so much to so many. I get asked all the time, can we get more pickleball? Can we get more of this? Can we get more of that? And, like all the time. And earlier this week when I replied to somebody's email, I said, we have all of these places where we have parks. And so it's a spread out municipality. And, here is this proposal filling so many of those gaps, just like some of these speakers said. And I think that instead of encouraging, well, look what they have in London, I think we should be proud of the fact that somebody wants to bring it to Middlesex Center. We'll have this more, if you will, northerly. And then, as mentioned, we have the Epic Center on the hockey side of things, more on the south side. I think that the opinion of the supporters and Todd, sorry, I don't know the soccer guy. And I think that was some valuable input. It is filling space and gaps that we have here in Middlesex Center. And it's something then that we can't really afford to do, and you're doing it. I just want to add something a little more, I don't know, not necessarily personal, but last week we had a meeting with the CAO and the Director of Community Services for service clubs in our area. And, and at the end of the meeting, our CAO said something that's really stuck with me, and I've actually passed it on to some other service clubs. And she thanked the service clubs for what events and things that they bring to our community, that the municipality, it's not a huge big city where you have festivals and all. And so it's not something that the municipality is set up to do. And what the service clubs bring is of great value to all of the residents. And I feel the same way about this proposal and what it can bring to the community. You know, just recent on the weekend, I was away at a wedding and in a hotel, and there was all these hockey teams and kids everywhere. And so I get the need for the hotels in there. And I think it's a well put together package that does have a great need. So that's all I have to add. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got Councillor Coles.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, just some comments I wanted to share with everyone. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's spoken tonight to share their feedback and opinions. They're all very valued. And I want to just speak to a few things as a counselor and as a parent. So first of all, I believe this is a great opportunity to bring tourism and economic diversification to our area, which are things that we're looking for on a daily basis. That is something that our municipality wants. I think it's a very comprehensive plan, and I do also like that you're complementing the things that we are missing in the municipality. I also think that there are some opportunities with a landscaping plan that you could make the area look a bit more rural and more fitting with our current community. So that's something to keep in mind. I also believe that the hotel is well needed. So I am a sports parent. 2 of my kids go to Medway, and I spend a lot of time shuttling them around to lots of places, and usually not London. We're going even further because London doesn't have the facilities. So I'm always looking for those facilities because we like to book tournaments. My husband's a coach. Like, we are able to do those things, but it's usually farther afield because we just don't have anything close by. So I would welcome that tourism, bringing that to our economy here, right? Keeping the money in our area rather than having to drive a few hours to go and do that. Some concerns I have are obviously the traffic study and flood hazards, wastewater. Those are my biggest concerns with this proposal. So those are things that I would like you to look at as far as that goes. That's everything. Oh, I had one question. So a resident mentioned about extra costs. So my question is, are there extra costs to taxpayers to test your wastewater? Because that was something that was mentioned. So just please clarify that. And to talk about what the track and field coach said about the facilities with schools, it is very difficult to get a space. They are like the cheapest available. They're gone right away. During COVID, you were not allowed to go into those spaces, so they were gone. So there was really limited opportunities. So this would bring more opportunities to our children, right? Those are the ones who are getting involved, right? And if they don't have those opportunities, we lose them from that, and they're just going to be on their device and unhealthy. Okay, so back to my question. Are there extra costs to taxpayers to test your wastewater? Thank you.
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Coles. No, there are not. It's a private facility. It's owned and operated by the facility, and the facility is responsible for retaining an operator of that facility. So very much similar to trailer parks and campgrounds that operate these types of facilities. Often organizations like Aqua are retained to be the operator of the facility, and that's at the cost of the owner. There is no taxpayer contribution.
Thank
you. Also, just a point about the traffic. I think we have our traffic consultant online. I'm not sure if he can also explain a little bit more.
Sorry, we're having them come in?
Yes, so he is online.
Okay, and what's the question? Sorry, and what question are they answering? The traffic?
Oh, we didn't hear that. Oh, Aaron is online.
Yeah, no, my apologies. I was just explaining to Mr. Heichel that we do have the traffic engineer online, but we don't have a traffic question that's been asked of us, and we're out of the public meeting session. So he is available if council wants to ask a question about traffic, but.
Okay. Is there a question about traffic?
What's the impact?
Is it Mike?
Oh, sorry. Maybe you can just talk about that generally. The traffic study, what did it indicate? the impact on the zone is. Keep it brief.
Absolutely. And to do that, maybe we could bring Mr. Blatta back on screen. Mr. Blatta is the traffic engineer from RC Spencer that was retained.
Get there, yes.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me as the traffic expert in the room, virtually anyways. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. As it pertains to the high-level memo that we undertook as part of kind of like preparing the expectations for this development, based on the densities that are being proposed, based off the land uses that are being proposed, considering effectively the respective peak hours, AM, PM, Saturday, we determined that the Saturday was actually a little bit better than the critical PM peak hour. And the critical PM peak hour, we estimated that you could see, during the kind of absolute worst time, about 15 vehicles per minute being attracted to this site. So just to kind of give you a taste of what that would add onto the existing road network. Now, regarding potential modifications to the access to accommodate that traffic demand, those can certainly be accommodated. We haven't done that work yet. As we conclude in our report, a comprehensive transportation impact assessment should be undertaken at the site plan control stage. However, this is not something that I would flag as being overly dense or overly problematic from a traffic perspective. As already identified, and I concur with the county engineer, a left turn lane will be required at the site access, as well as likely a dedicated right turn lane for deceleration for right turn movements to the site. There is another access proposed relative to potential emergency access if it's required. However, I do not feel that it's required in terms of operations. So simply put, one access to the site should be sufficient. If it meets the warrant thresholds for a signal, the developer is willing to, commit the dollars to do that. But those provincial warrants are standardized, and that's something that we will undertake and review as part of the detailed transportation impact assessment that accompanies the submission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So any other questions from councillors? Yes, Councillor Shipley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Arts and myself met with Mr. Henkel last year and proposed this development here, one story, very similar to the old dome I thought out Dundas East. So you can imagine my surprise when he comes back with 297 square feet, 3 stories, day nursery, hotel, with 48 units, office spaces, restaurant, 850 parking spots. When this was proposed to Councillor Arts and myself, I was a little concerned with it, the size of it as that, but I said I would look into it or, bring it forth to the council. So nothing happens till a year later and we come back with this. You're saying you're going to service this area by 3 or 4 wells. How the people who have the shallow wells next door, how's that going to affect their wells? Like, I don't think anybody can answer that. I don't expect an answer right now anyhow. We are putting a wastewater treatment plant out in Gideon, but I'm not in favor of starting to put them in every community. Like, it's not the right way to be doing this. If this development needs to go, it needs to go somewhere where there's water and sewage. So the other concern I have is we have a bunch of wells with a wastewater treatment plant in the area. I don't know, it sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. We just spent $3 million in Melrose to get rid of wells to hook up to Lake Huron. So now we're gonna put more wells into the area. Traffic, your traffic study, I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm getting numbers from, like you said, 15 vehicles more per minute, which ends up to 900 vehicles an hour. I live on Medway Road. I'm 500 feet east of Highbury Ave. I cannot get out of my driveway or into my driveway morning, afternoon, and now starting at noon. I can't get in or out. It's backed up. The hamlet is approximately 1,000 feet to the end of the east of the where Ballymote ends. It's backed up past that morning and night. So I don't know how 900 vehicles is not going to affect more traffic. Most of that traffic is heading westbound on Medway, which will go past your development there. And what? Oh, I actually got calls the other day from people on 8 Mile Road. So right now, Medway Road is basically the ring road for London. That's where everybody comes out. The trucks come off 401 Veterans down Medway Road. We call it the Ring Road now. People in 8 Mile Road are calling me because Medway's backed up so bad, they're now going down 8 Mile Road to get to their destination. Let's see. I said my platform for the last 2 elections is going to remain the same this election as I'm saving farmland. I don't want to give up farmland. I think that's the wrong thing that we'll be doing. There was some numbers. Now, if you can remember how much we're losing a day.
Yeah.
300 acres a day is going under asphalt. So that's always been my, basically my platform, and I'm going to stick with that for this election also. This, to me, is not the location for this development. I'm not saying I'm opposed to a development like this. It's just not the location for it. Like Medway Road, you'll never get anywhere on it. It needs to be somewhere where there's water supply and a sewage treatment plant. Like I said, I don't want to start going down, putting treatment plants in every corner of Middlesex Center. So basically, in closing, feel the size of this development is not suited for this location. Or we look at something like you did have initially, where one well and a septic system would handle it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, well, I'd like to thank everyone who's participated in giving their thoughts, opinions, asked the questions that they needed to have on the record. I know it's been a while, but there is a motion before us, and the motion is that the report PLA 27/2026 regarding the application for official plan amendment number 70. Oops, I'm on the wrong one. Rewind. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's much shorter. The report PLA 26/2026 regarding application for official plan amendment number 75 and zoning bylaw amendments that BA 11/2026 for the land known as 15117 Medway Road, Municipality of Middlesex Center be received for information. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Coles and Councillor Cates. Thank you. All in favor? And it is received. Thank you very much. We can now move on to the next item, which is 10432 and 10442 Melrose Drive. This is filed by Mazunti Planning on behalf of Robert Walker. And we'll just wait till we have a cleared room before we start, just so we can all hear everyone's comments. One moment, please.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so the report that we have before us is again Marion Francis Ramos Cabral's report, and who you're going to be providing that for us now. So when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. So the purpose of this report is to provide a recommendation to council regarding the requested. No problem. I think the purpose of my staff report is to provide a recommendation to council regarding the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for the lands at 10432 Melrose Drive. The purpose of the official plan amendment application is to redesignate the land from agriculture with a special policy area to permit a contractor's yard in addition to the agricultural uses currently permitted on the land. And the purpose of the rezoning application is to amend the current agriculture exception 39 zone that currently applies to this property to permit a contractor's yard in addition to the agricultural uses currently permitted on this property. The effect of this application would permit the continuation of an existing contractor's yard, which is RA Walker Construction, and this includes the use of an existing shop and outdoor storage for materials, equipment, and vehicles. No new development is proposed as a result of these applications. The subject property is approximately 10 acres in area with frontage on Melrose Drive. The land contains 2 single detached dwellings and a yard for personal vehicle storage. Aside from the contractor's business on this property, the land is not actively farmed and contains grassed landscaped areas and a pond. The eastern portion of this property also contains regulated area and contains some significant woodland. Surrounding land uses are primarily agricultural in nature, and there are a few rural residential properties surrounding the subject land. And with regard to the business itself, the storage barn that is currently on this property, which is located in the north and northwest corner of this property, would be used on a continual basis for the contractor's business. In total, the the storage yard in the barn and the yard would comprise approximately 10% of the total land area. The storage barn itself houses construction vehicles used for the business and contains its own septic system. And the yard surrounding the storage barn is used for outdoor storage of vehicles and trucks, equipment, fuel, and materials associated with the contractor's business. The applicant identified that the contractor's business is a year-round operation. It services agricultural, commercial, municipal, and residential clients. They do work in the agricultural area and includes, but it's not limited to, yard grading, driveway maintenance, septic installation, drainage works, demolition, pasture fence installation, manure haulage, and snow removal services. So this application is before council as a result of a bylaw enforcement matter, and staff determined that the use was not permitted within the current agricultural or A1 zone. As a result, the applicant is requesting the amendments to comply with the zoning bylaw and to permit the use for the long term. If approved, the applicant would also need to apply for site plan approval. So this land is designated agriculture with a special policy area and also zoned agriculture with the exception 39. The PPS generally speaks to the protection of agricultural land for the long-term use, and this includes the maintenance of the agricultural land base in prime agricultural areas. So similar to the previous application, the policies would apply to this development proposal. Permitted uses generally consist of agricultural uses, agriculturally related uses, and limited on-farm diversified uses. And agriculturally related uses are those that are farm-related, commercial, and farm-related industrial that directly relate to farm operations in the area, support agriculture, benefit from being in close proximity to farm operations, and provide direct products and or services to farm operations within the area as their primary activity. Additionally, the PPS does permit non-agricultural uses in the prime agricultural area, subject to the criteria that identify need and evaluation of alternative lands. These policies are also found within the county official plan as well as Middlesex Center's official plan. So notice of these applications were circulated to area residents, agencies, and staff, and details of the application are available on the municipal website. Staff did not receive correspondence from any area residents at the time of this meeting. We did have a few conversations, but we did not receive formal correspondence. Municipal staff reviewed the application and identified that the use might not be compatible with adjacent residential uses with regard to dust, noise, outside storage, the appearance, and traffic. Additionally, if approved, the scale and size of the operations must be clearly defined, as the permission should not apply to the entirety of the land and no expansions would be supported. And again, site plan approval would be required if the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment are approved tonight. Planning staff evaluated the applications with the agriculture related use lens. In review of the information provided by the applicant, it appears that the business provides year-round service to a variety of industries and clients across the City of London as well as the county. And this does include clients within the agricultural area, but not solely within the agricultural area. Overall, we are generally not satisfied that the proposed use could be considered agriculture related, and have consistently advised that general purpose industrial uses like a contractor's yard should be directed to industrial areas or employment areas within settlement areas like Kamoka and Kilworth or Melrose, where they benefit from better transportation access and limit their impact on sensitive land uses and environmental features. While the land may not be suitable for cultivating cash crops, the size of the land does not prevent other agricultural or agriculturally related uses from occurring on this land. As a result, we did evaluate the application through the lens of a non-agriculture use in the prime agricultural area. as outlined in the PPS. And again, staff continue to advise that the use is industrial in nature, and the need for industrial land has been identified in the official plan and zoning bylaw. And again, this is within current settlement areas that are currently zoned and designated accordingly, or could be zoned and designated in the appropriate areas. Since the applicant has evaluated the applications primarily based in the agriculture-related lens, staff do not have any information that demonstrates that alternative locations were assessed to operate this business. Additionally, the agricultural impact assessment prepared by the applicant must be able to evaluate the impact of the use on the agricultural system, including the nearby agricultural uses, and recommend mitigation measures, as well as address agricultural viability and the potential of the lands if maintained for agricultural use. So staff find the contractor's yard and overall operations introduce an incompatible use to the agricultural area. And this includes the residents being within 40 meters of the existing storage barn. Further, if the use is permitted on the property, the existing dwellings on the land would then be incompatible with the industrial use and are not recommended to co-locate on the same property as an industrial use. So as a result of our analysis, as outlined in the staff report, planning staff recommend that the requested amendments be refused as they are not consistent with the PPS and not in conformity with the county official plan and Middlesex Center official plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. The next item allows the agent or applicant to provide comments. Is there? Yeah. It would be the far left button and it'll go red. Oh, middle?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the middle one. Oh, it's the left one on mine. Sorry. There you go. And it's green.
It's the middle one.
And you need the name. If you would give your name for the
Yes.
clerk, please.
I'm Maureen Zenti, and I'm a professional planning consultant for the applicants. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I would ask you to reject the staff recommendation and approve the OPA and ZBA that we have filed to permit a contractor's yard as an additional use at this property. My planning justification report does provide a detailed analysis relating to the property and the policy context, and I'm not going to go through that in detail, but I do hope that you will have looked at it. But I would like to highlight a few key points with respect to the applications and in response to some of the staff comments. First of all, this property has been used by R.A. Walker Construction for over 28 years without major incident. From the information provided to me, they were of the belief that when they purchased the property, their business was permitted at the time, based on conversations with municipal staff. They'd made improvements to the property, acquired permits for those improvements over time, and at no time was the existing use considered to be an issue until recently, and so hence the applications that we submitted this spring. It is my opinion that the application should be approved and that the existing use defined as a contractor's yard permitted for the following reasons. While it is acknowledged that the business does not provide services solely to the agricultural sector, it does provide a wider way of agriculturally related services to the surrounding community and the agricultural community. A full list of those services is provided on page 5 of my report, and Marion also mentioned some of them. As such, proximity to the agricultural community is beneficial to both the business and its clients for functionality, efficiency, and economy. The property, being only 4 hectares in size, is far smaller than the typical agricultural operations and does not meet the minimum size that's even prescribed in your zoning bylaw for the agricultural zone. While the staff report indicates the property attributes do not prevent it from being used for small-scale agricultural purposes, given that it is very small, has rolling topography, a ravine, a significant woodland, 2 dwellings, and their associated septic beds and outdoor amenities, the potential for any type of economically viable agricultural operation is extremely limited, in my opinion. The contractor yard use does not create any MDS issues, and I see no reason to think that it would negatively impact the future flexibility or efficiency of surrounding agricultural operations. The report also states that relative to typical agricultural operations, there is an increased presence of noise, dust, and odor impacts on neighboring land uses. I would suggest that the current use really would not provide any greater noise, dust, or odor than most typical agricultural or livestock operations anywhere in the area. Also, the volume and scale of equipment that is owned by the business is really not any greater than what you would probably find on most typical agricultural operations in terms of they would typically have trucks, tractors, combines, all kinds of other large farm equipment. The volume of equipment that is actually in use on the site is less than was originally used back in 28 years ago. So now I'd like to turn to the sections of the staff report that state these types of uses should be located in industrial properties and settlement areas to limit impact on sensitive land uses, such as residential, groundwater, and natural heritage, and where there is appropriate infrastructure. I would suggest that the current location already limits impact on sensitive uses, as it is in proximity to only a couple of rural residential uses, far less than would exist if it was located in a settlement area. If you look at your official plan maps, nearly all of the employment area designations are located immediately beside residential areas or in very close proximity, where they would be far more potential conflicts with people and traffic than exist near the current site. Finally, the staff report suggests that the business should be located where lands are appropriately designated and zoned, and refers to various policies relating to the evaluation of alternative locations. It states that no information has been provided that demonstrates alternative locations were assessed. I would point you to pages 20 and 21 and Appendix A of my planning report, as I did review the zoning bylaw and its maps to see where a contractor's yard would be permitted. I reviewed this information again this week just to make sure of it, and the facts are these. A contractor's yard is only permitted as of right in the M2 General Industrial Zone. There are 24 locations in all of Middlesex Centre, zoned M2, where a contractor's yard would be permitted, along with 4 site-specific exception zones that would permit a contractor's yard. All of these contain existing businesses. The majority of the M2 zones are located within lands that are designated agriculture, which is exactly what the current site is designated. And the majority of those are already occupied when you take a look at aerial maps and Google information and so on. Of the 2 that appear to be vacant, both are designated agriculture, and one is fully within a conservation area regulated area. From what I could find, there are only 5 out of the 24 M2 zones located within a settlement employment designation that would permit a contractor's yard, and those sites appear to already be occupied. We did not apply for an M2 industrial zone, as there is no desire to have any additional industrial uses that are permitted in that zone. We are simply looking to add the contractor's yard as an additional permitted use to the current special policy and the current exception zone that exists for the site. So it seems that despite the fact that the vast majority of sites that would permit a contractor's yard are not available, the majority of them are also within lands that are designated as agriculture, no different than the current designation that exists on the Walker site. Staff are suggesting that the Walkers should spend who knows how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to acquire new property, construct a new building, and relocate their equipment and business to already zoned lands that are for the most part not even available or are no more appropriate in terms of designation, location, site features, or other criteria than where they are located right now. So in my opinion, to reject the applications completely defies both planning and economic logic to try and force a 28-year local business that provides services and employment to the surrounding agriculture community and has no negative impact on current or future agricultural operations to be so severely disrupted. So in closing, again, I'm requesting that you reject the staff recommendation and approve our applications. And finally, in discussion with my clients, if it is a way to address any possible issues, they are amenable to restricting the actual contractor's yard use to the existing portion of the property so that it doesn't apply to the entire property. So thank you very much. I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you for that. We're going to go through the next our agenda so the questions will come later. I want to call now on anyone registered. I'm the clerk. Do we have anyone who's speaking? No? Okay. And online? No. Okay, so then we can go right to members of the public who'd like to speak, if there's anyone. Come on up and I think you know the drill. It's the same. If you push the button, then I'll make it'll be red when you push the button, and then I'll make it green, and then you've got your time to speak.
I am Nathan Walker that operates Walker Construction, Bob Walker's son. I've got photos from 1998 when we moved out to the property. My dad verified with Lobo Township at the time that when he purchased the property that the business would be okay out there. And these are stamped. When in 1998, I was 17 years old and helped raise the barn where our shop is now. I've got photos of trucks and things in the yard. I'm going to be 45 this year. So it shows a long history of being in the community, and I'd just like to take that into consideration when you make this decision. It's a big deal.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we can now go to members of council for questions, comments. Oh, no. Oh, there's more. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see your hands before. All right, come on up. All right. So my apologies, sorry.
It's okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Charlene Pruder, and I live 2 doors down from the Walkers. And I have to say, every morning when I'm walking to do my chickens, I hear beep, beep, beep. And I love that sound because that means that people are employed and there's a job that somebody needs done. And I have to, like, the Walkers came and did our front for the last month. I thought they were going to dig a little hole. They dug 6 feet deep. But they came, and they're a small business, and you want entrepreneurs. And that's what a small community is that you want to support. And anytime that, I reach out to Bob, we had a couple of horses at the time, and I reached out to Walkers because we don't have a backhoe. So, they got right on it and brought everything down and made sure that the horses were taken care of. But, you drive into London, and I'm not sure if you visualize, but when I see skyscrapers, it's great because the unemployment rate just keeps going down. People don't want to work. You're trying to find people that you are needing to be employed, or you're looking for workers and you can't find them. They need Friday afternoons off and their birthdays, and I get that. And they have great staff. They're polite. They clean up after themselves. And I just want you to consider the beep, beep, beep is employment and growth. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. And I think I did see another hand. Yep.
Thank you. So mine's going to be all emotional too. I leave the expert stuff to everybody else. But first of all, my name is Trevor Vincent. My wife is watching online. We are actually the adjacent neighbors to the Walkers. So we live at 23042 Coldstream Road. Like we are right there. We are 30 feet away from their shop. I'm going to read what I prepared, or I'm not going to be able to get through this. We've been proud members of this small community for almost 11 years. If there is a resident here who would have any concerns about this application or about this neighbor, it definitely would be us because we live right beside them and we are the closest neighbor by any stretch. But instead, I am here to support them. Over the last 11 years, the Walkers have been exceptional neighbors. They are kind, respectful, considerate, and in all of our years living beside them, noise, disruption have never, ever been a problem at all. But what stands out even more is the type of people that they are. The very weekend we moved in, they were the first people to come over, welcome us to the community, and ask if there was anything they could do to help. That small gesture said a lot about their character. And over the years, they have continued to just demonstrate the same generosity and willingness to support others time and time again. From everything we have seen firsthand, they simply just want to continue operating their small business like they've done for decades and serving the people as they always have. They're not just business owners, they are neighbors, they are friends, they are people, and they are genuine part of this community. They've contributed to this area for decades, and it would be a real loss to see them have to leave and this era be gone of Walker Construction that have been there for almost 30 years. So I respectfully ask that you allow this motion to move forward and give the Walkers the opportunity to continue providing the service that they've offered for all these years. Because communities like ours are built by people who care, who show up for others, and who invest in the places that they live and that they call home. This is not just a business that lives here and then they live somewhere else. Like, they live there. Like, they're part of our community. They're the whole fabric of, like, small business is what built Canada. And they attribute to that for sure. I just want you guys to consider that. And all of the history and everything that's been there, they have documentation for all that. That's all for, you know, the experts to deal with, but they mean a lot to our community. And I've been there 11 years and they are tremendous people, and they just help us out. And we don't want to see them leave because of some bylaw that there's, you know, stuff for you guys to figure out, but we just don't want to see them have to leave because of that. So I appreciate your time and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, councilors, my name is Deborah Taylor, and I can outdo all those timelines. I knew Bob before Matthew was born. I knew him when he was starting his business. I think we met in around 1970, 75. So I am here to speak for him, but I'm also a small business owner. And I started my business 23 years ago. So you have to understand what that means when you start a business. Like, it's not like going to work for somebody, getting your paycheck and going home. It is your lifeblood. And now his son is running it. So to give you an idea, when they talk about how great he is, I'll never forget him rolling up with a bobcat during a heavy duty storm. And he piled all the snow up on the lawn so that the kids could toboggan down it when they were little. That's who he is. Talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He was telling me he fixed his fireplace. I said, mine's doing the same thing. You know, the next day he was over to see if he could fix my fireplace. Like, that's the type of man he is, and that's who you want in a community. So you can look at the technical side of things, and you can say the rules say this, and you know, it has to be this and it has to fit into this box. But I don't understand where the issue is. When he's run the business there, he hasn't done anything illegal. He didn't open it up and break any bylaws. He was told he could run his business. So I find it odd that after all these years, anyone would expect him or would say, you got to move your business, when there have been no issues. I could see if there were complaints or noise or things like that, but it's not making a lot of sense to me when he doesn't anticipate any changes. I mean, I listen to the people that want new buildings and things like that that are going to impact the community, sometimes in a negative way. I don't see any negative impact here. So I think sometimes, and I'll tell you, running a small business right now, man, it is tough. Since last January, it's been tough, to the point where you don't sleep at night. So it just makes no sense to me that when you have someone who has followed all the rules. He didn't go out and do anything wrong. He's followed all the rules. He's been there when he's been asked by anybody, and he's never caused an issue. So it's almost hard to imagine where this comes from, other than, okay, we got a rule on the book. Well, lots of times we have rules on the books, but do we simply then, we all know, you do the right thing. It's really a matter, do the right thing. So I'm asking you, do the right thing. Doesn't necessarily have to be the black and white thing, but the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Oh, one.
Hi, I'm Robert Walker. In 1998, when we bought that property, before we bought the property, I came to the department here, to the building here, and asked questions, and it seemed like everything was good. I could keep the company there. But and when I got a building permit, there was a fellow, an inspector by the name of Jim Reeves, that came and did the inspection, and he told me that everything was good, that the things were fine. And after that, and that he added that in the building part of it, nobody could ever question what I would or could do inside that building, which was odd. I didn't expect him to say anything like that. But he was a great inspector. He showed us how he wanted it constructed, and we did that. Arnie Marsman came and looked at the property. I don't know how many times, 2 or 3 times, 4 times. And Arnie Marsman directed me where to move machinery to park it, because there was a complaint by the landowner on the east side that I'd put a few pieces of attachments near his property line. And Arnie said, move the attachments to the other side of your barn, to the other side of the shop where you can't see them. He told me what to do. And he said on different visits that everything was good. And then I'm guessing it was 2 or 3 years ago, we got a phone call that it wasn't good. And it's a shock to me that I was directed basically to go ahead and make the place nicer, spend money, and get into the community. And now I'm being told that that's not good enough. I have to grow petunias, or I have to do farming or something. Well, that property isn't farm friendly, and it's way too small. We've got a big garden and some fruit trees, but we can't. You can't make a living on 8 acres or 7 acres or whatever it is of hills and trees. We've reduced any dust that we can by paving, and that was a considerable amount of money. And we get along with the neighbors, and we're amenable to a restricted size for a yard or sound barriers, but if that's what you want, or fences, but I'm just asking that I can stay there. If the company moves, I have to move. So I thank you for the time, for allowing me to speak. I respect the governance, and I like the community. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's anyone else. Okay, alrighty, so next we can move then to council members and take questions, comments. Yes, Deputy Mayor Brennan?
I'm a little torn on this one. It's been there for 28 years. Some of the operations that they do are related to agriculture. So that is a possibility. I think maybe perhaps one thing that could be looked at is to allow it to run as a business and direct staff or ask staff to work with you to come up with a bylaw that would allow you to stay there and operate. Presently, you're assessed strictly residential, whether that can continue or there has to be some commercial aspect to it, I don't know. But for me right now, I'm just not prepared to say no to you. I think staff is probably willing to work with you and see if we can't come up with a solution through a bylaw to allow you to continue to operate there.
Okay, I have Councillor Burrs.
There we go. Yeah, it's a tough decision. It seems to have come, I don't know what the history is why we're doing this now. I agree with the deputy mayor. It is a business. It doesn't, the neighbors seem to be supportive of them. They've been there for 28 years. I think it would be not good for them at all to close them down, and where would they go and do this? So I would say, can we refer, before, not to vote for it, but refer it back to staff to try to work with them so that they continue their operation? Because I don't think you're expanding your operation. You want to keep it the same? Okay. All right. So anyway, that would be what I would go for, whether I make it a motion or not. I'll leave it at that.
Is there anyone else who wants to comment? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I'm with Deputy Mayor Brennan. This is a tough one because I'm a farmer. I run my own business. And I know that chunk of property you got, it's not agricultural land, but that's beside the point. But you have been running a contractor's yard. And we got, if there's some wiggle room, because if we say yes, we're going to open the door too. And that's my really concern, because there's some stuff going on that it's not good. So if we could come up with a compromise, maybe you might not be able to store gravel anymore, or maybe you got, like, I hope we can come up with something, because I hate to see it go, but I don't want to set a precedent and open the barn doors either. So if we got to come up with something, it's got to be, you call that horse trading? That's a bad word to say.
It's okay. I think we know what you mean.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Okay. I'm going to weigh, I wanted to weigh in too, but I think the planner has a comment here. If you'd like to go ahead, Stephanie.
I would just note that kind of from a process piece with most commercial or industrial or employment uses, we would have a site plan that can address, that would address most of the, most of the kind of compatibility issues that we might have. So again, you've made reference to the fact that it is still classified as a residential property for tax purposes. So there's a few things there that really should be addressed. And I think, again, there are some ways that we can do that. It is difficult, again, as staff, any land outside of our settlement area boundaries is designated officially as prime agricultural land. So as everyone here knows. So, I mean, there is that, but again, if we will take that direction from staff, if you would like to see a bylaw come forward, we will do that.
I would support that too, because for me, when someone's been doing something for almost 3 decades, there's a paper trail. We don't know exactly why things fell through the crack or how it's been missed or why it's before us at this point. I'm really not clear on that at all. I mean, we moved to the farm in 61 and you moved there and what, I mean, you've been there, like, I remember this property since I've learned to drive practically. So I'm really confused about some of this, especially in the context of conversations I've had about builders' yards and other businesses. Consistency is something that, if we're going to do this, then I'm going to have to talk to staff about consistency across the whole municipality. And I'm thinking, is this something that can be a temporary, if sold, then this happens, or this is a temporary existing use, or can it be sold as that kind of use? Like, I don't know all the legal pieces, but, or how it could be done, but I think some work needs to be done, figure out how does this move forward, and somebody's livelihood and 3 decades of effort and work isn't necessarily disappearing into thin air. So yeah, I'm not the expert here. I'm looking for staff to give me some context and advice too. So I support Deputy Mayor Brennan's and Councillor's comments on this. It's kind of baffling. So not clear at all. Yes, go ahead, Deputy.
Madam Mayor, I would be inclined to put a motion to refer this back to staff to work with the walkers and see if we can't come to a resolution to allow them to continue on and satisfy the municipality's needs.
And would I have a seconder for that motion? Deputy, okay, hey, I've got Hugh, Councillor Arts. Yep, he seconds. I'll call a vote. All in favor of that? Is anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you for your comments and work. Thank you for your input, and we can now move on. Oh, we can rise now from public meetings. Okay, so we're done with the planning piece. The motion before us is that the public meetings adjourn at 8:29 and council resume its regular meeting. A mover, please. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cates. And Councillor Coles, thank you. And call the vote, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so you've got the time. So the next item before us is the consent agenda. In this agenda, everything is received as one motion, and council members may request that one or more items be removed from further action. Is there anything on the list of items that a councillor would want to speak to? No? Okay. I don't see any hands. In that case, the motion before us is that all items listed under the heading of consent agenda for June 17th, 2026 be adopted as recommended. And it's moved by Councillor Cates and Councillor Coles. Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And we can now move on to staff reports. The first item up is Development Charges Reduction Program. Tiffany Farrell, our Chief Administrative Officer, is going to speak to that report. And you are ready to go.
So thank you, and through you, Mayor DeVete. So the council report is in front of you. There has been, this has been updated from the original version, CAO-04-2026, that was part of the agenda originally. The updated report that you see before you has been updated as well by staff as we work through the application, the program guidelines, and work with Watson's and Associates, who were the company we worked with when we developed our development charge study. So at this time, I have more information for council that I would like to present of what staff are looking at applying for this program. This does not change the recommendation in the report, but it does provide more information for council's and the public's consideration. So at this time, staff are recommending a 50% residential development charge reduction across all DC categories. This is a requirement of the program to ensure that all residential DCs receive the reduction. So at the time when staff were putting together the analysis, because of the projects being either water or wastewater, we were looking at reducing just those 2 items. However, it's been brought to our attention that that would not reduce all residential DCs because rural residential DCs don't have water and wastewater. Therefore, we're looking at applying it at 50% across all of those, the categories. And it would be applicable to all different housing types for residential DCs. Staff are planning on applying for only 2 wastewater projects at this time. So when reviewing all the projects that staff had originally put together, there were 5 projects, with many of them having multiple sub-projects. All projects were included in our Development Charge 2024 study. In looking at the program and the requirements, as well as the probability of us receiving funding, we wanted to make a strong, like a very strong application and very focused to mitigate some of the risks. So we are planning on just applying for 2 wastewater projects. The total grant being requested is $48.2 million. The projects are the Kamoka Wastewater Treatment Plant expansion, both phases 1 and 2. The total index cost is approximately $58.3 million, so we would be applying for $36.7 million for that project. The second being the Ilderton Wastewater Treatment Plant expansion. Total index cost is $14.3 million, and we'd be applying for $11.5 million. Both projects are already underway with respect to the planning and design aspects, and both those type of costs are ineligible costs anyways under this program. Ineligible costs outside of the benefit to existing will continue to be funded by development charges. The benefit to existing costs for the Kamoka Wastewater Treatment Plant is approximately $10.3 million, while the Ilderton Wastewater Treatment Plant has no benefit to existing costs. The 10% municipal share of the program has now been outlined that it can be used as our 10% municipal share. So the benefit to existing is what our municipal water and wastewater users would already have to pay for those projects. So with that logic, there is no additional ask on our wastewater and water users. However, when we're looking at the projects together, there would be no change, because the benefit to the existing on the one would be enough to cover both projects. However, if the municipality were successful in getting the funding and the application, if it does have to be by project, that could impact our municipal share for the Ilderton Wastewater Treatment Plant, which would be approximately $1.3 million of the municipal share that we would have to pay from our wastewater user fees. And we would have at this point that money in our wastewater reserve fund. If that does happen, then that would be included in the staff report if the municipality is successful. The DC reduction, so what we'd be looking at, that 50% DC reduction if the municipality is successful, is currently estimated at approximately $22.6 million. This is based on 1,194 units over the 3 years. The municipality plans to implement this as a grant program. So there are options within the DCRP, the Development Charge Reduction Program, of how we can implement this, such as an incentive, similar to how we did our HAF funding, or you could redo the bylaw. At this time, staff are looking at a grant program. The estimate of the 1,194 units over the 3 years is based on multiple sources. Just to highlight a few, the municipality's current growth forecast of 262 permits is from our the official plan with the county that has been approved, and its historical peak for us is 349 building permits in 2021. So we considered the 1,194 units reasonable at this time because it also aligns with our servicing capacity. So our wastewater systems in Kamoka and Ilderton with these expansions will be able to support 5,510 overall units, and that's including the 1,300 units immediately, as that is our capacity in both those systems at this time. It also matches the policy intent of the province of Ontario and the government of Canada to reduce barriers to accelerate housing construction. So the feedback that we received and what we've read from the province and the federal government is that reducing the DCs should accelerate the housing. We've used all of this information in our application. So what I would draw council's attention to at this time is our grant request is higher than the DC reduction. This, there's many factors as to why, and we're going to outline this in the application. However, if the award could be up to what we're asking, but realistically, based on the application guidelines, it is looking at being the same as what your DC reduction could be if we're successful, but we did think that we are going to put all this information within the application as yeah, we're trying to maximize as much as we can for our community. If the DCRP award matches the projected DC revenue loss from the incentive and building permit activity falls short of these targets, some funding could be required to be refunded to the government, and this would be outlined in a transfer payment agreement if the municipality was successful. We would then be proceeding with the growth-related projects without the government funding or the development charge collections to support the costs. However, with that being said, both projects, with the exception of the phase 2 of Pamoka wastewater treatment plant expansion, are already required to be done and are underway, as mentioned before. So we were already proceeding without the DCs collected, which is a common practice for our municipality. Having to put the infrastructure in place before the DCs are collected resulting in borrowing to fund these projects. So as outlined in our long-range financial plan, we are looking at borrowing funds in order to do any of our development charge supported projects within the water and wastewater categories. So we do believe that this does mitigate that risk as well. There is also a risk that the DCRP award may be lower than the amount of staff that staff is requesting, but once the province confirms the funding amount, if we're successful, staff will assess whether proceeding remains viable. That assessment will consider actual development charge collections, debt levels, and other elements of the municipality's fiscal strategy. The province is looking at having the applications reviewed within a month or two, and transfer payment agreements out for those successful municipalities shortly thereafter. I believe their target is to have all of this in place before August 21st, which is coming up quick. However, municipal staff, if we're successful, would report back to council right away, and we would spend the time doing the analysis and provide our recommendations to council. At this time, I know that was a lot of information. I can take any questions as well as the project team, as most of them are here tonight.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot in there. So I'll look to council yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Councillor Burrs.
Holy smokes. Okay. I read it. Well, okay, you're giving us information. You're going to do a workup. You're going to come back. We're going to have to make a decision. There's a number of municipality mayors that I interact with. They're not keen on this. I don't even know if they're going to go with it. Now, they're smaller municipalities than us. So you said a lot of ifs. If this happens, there's no guarantee that this will spur development. Okay. So I don't know what to say other than I'll look at your recommendation, and those are just my comments.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Kate?
Through you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to say hats off to the staff, all involved for their in-depth work and attention to detail on this short timeline opportunity. I wasn't going to say this, but after what Frank said, I'm going to say this. I think that given the housing market and the things that are happening or not happening, I think that we need to take advantage of this opportunity. You know, we've got the HST situation, and now we get the development charge situation, and it'll make us, you know, we don't want to be labeled as an, oh, don't go there, they still charge you development charges. Like, I think that we need to try this, or we need to do this. So thanks for your great reports, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else? One more? No? Okay. So Stephanie, do you want to weigh in? Well, no, I just think you might have some comments on.
Yes, through you, Mayor, to Councillor Burrs. I did just want to note, and it is listed in the report, but we've recently been really doing a lot of work to really understand what we have in our development queue right now. And based on numbers as of, I think, April, and looking at building permits issued in each of our phases of the subdivisions, things that are, really with development agreements in hand, ready to go, ready to get the shovels in the ground, 727 shovel-ready units that have been approved, over the last however many years that really are sitting. So I do just want to say, I think there really is, we are in an excellent position to capitalize on this. And I do believe that this relief really will help kickstart those. And that's just the shovel-ready units. That's not all of the draft approved site plans that we're looking at. Like there's more, you know, the numbers are there, but I just, if that's helpful for council.
Thank you. Appreciate the extra detail. Oh, you have another question. Go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Tiffany. Just a couple of things that Frank has said. When we, tonight, when we go with this motion tonight, it's not coming back. You're doing it. You're submitting it. It has to be in a couple days, correct?
So yes, so you through Mayor DeVete, that is correct. So we will be applying for it. So the application, it will be submitted. Our hope is tomorrow. It's due Friday at 10 a.m. But what I mean when we are going to bring it back, so if council directed us not to do the application, we wouldn't. But at this time, the recommendation is to go ahead with the application. What we'd be bringing back is if we are successful, what the province is offering. And so that that part of that transfer payment agreement and how they've outlined it, we will then do that analysis based on the analysis we already have and bring back a recommendation to council should the municipality, our recommendation on should we proceed with this and sign the transfer payment agreement. That would be what we'd be bringing back.
Or not.
Or
Yeah,
not, yes.
yeah.
If, yeah, we would
The
bring back
numbers-
a report.
Yeah.
Even if we are not successful in the application, but our goal is to apply for it.
Mhm.
And it is clear in the program guidelines that you, like, that you don't have to take it, obviously. You don't, yeah.
I think you called that an informed decision. Yeah, so we'll be prepared. Okay, thank you for all the work that you've done. This was a lot of heavy lifting in a short period of time. So thank you very much to staff for all of the work they've done. If there are no more questions, then there's the recommendation before us that reports CAO 04-2026 and CAO 05-2026 regarding Development Charge Reduction Program be received, and that council approve and direct staff to submit an application under the Development Charge Reduction Program for growth-related investments in wastewater and water system projects identified in the municipality's development charge study, and further that council approve a temporary reduction in residential development charges between 45 and 50% for 3 years, effective March 30th, 2026, as a condition of the funding application to take effect only if a funding agreement is entered into the province of, entered into with the province of Ontario. And I have Councillor Burrs and Councillor Cates. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. There haven't, there are notices of motion that have been submitted for council's agenda tonight. We have a number of correspondence items. Is there anything here that somebody wanted to comment on for correspondence? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor. 14.2, it was Middlesex County Council meeting highlights. And in it, one of the subjects was the planning service agreement modernization. So I tried to read it. It's a lot of stuff to read. Anyways, the part that was disappointing is when we do plans of subdivision or plans of condominium, Dan, Marion, the county staff, our staff, they all get together. We get the report, it's presented, council passes it, and then it's got to go to county council. The same report's done again. And it's duplication, and everyone in here, they talk about cooperation and streaming, but it doesn't mention duplication. So I was disappointed. There's certain things, if we're using county planners and they've said this is right, why do they have to go again and present the same report to county council? So like I said, I respect everybody that's involved in the process, but I think they can clean that up. And personally, I wouldn't sign this agreement until they address that issue. So yeah, thanks.
Stephanie? Yes, Stephanie, do you want to speak to that then? Just, I'm talking about the legislative pieces and the process.
What I will say is that we did make a request to consider some revisions to the delegation of authority for certain types of applications like plans of subdivision. As you mentioned, we work very closely with the county planners to do that work, to do that analysis. And so we, as you recall, the staff reports were presented to council that recommended that there were some opportunities to do that, but that was not advanced by the county. So we could certainly, if directed by council, we could certainly consider opening up that discussion again. And then I will also note on the planning services agreement, we will bring forward an application, sorry, a staff report with information on that for council to consider.
Sorry, okay. Does anyone else have anything to comment on in that group of documents? No? Okay, in that case, there is a motion before us and that all the items listed under the heading of correspondence for June 17th, 2026 be received for information. I have Councillor Coles and Councillor Burrs. Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And Deputy, would you like to give a county update?
Yeah, a lot of the major issues are already on the agenda. The meeting yesterday, we had at county council. The county is not going to look at the grant program for DC reductions because their DC simply cover transportation and service agreements, so they don't feel that it is feasible for them to enter into that program, so they will not be doing that. The insurance with the county has been renewed at $1,368,000. That's only up 0.3%, which is a pretty good deal year over year. And they carry a $15,000 deductible. But through the insurance policies, $113.2 million worth of assets that are insured under that. They're considering looking at a flashing overhead stoplight at Melbourne Road and Longwoods Road. We keep getting emails on that intersection showing cars running the stop signs. So they are looking at doing that. There is a Ministry of Long-Term Compliance Inspection report. There were several compliance issues that are being addressed and will be looked after. North Middlesex, Elsa Craig expansion of 4.2 hectares into the urban center there. And there's a Buy Ontario vehicles produced in Canada, which is a good idea, I guess, to support our auto industry in Canada, but it could also at the same time increase costs because without going outside, you're limiting your people that can supply it, and it could increase costs. So it's something that we're gonna have to look at. Thank you.
Okay. Right. No questions for the, oh, no? Okay. Thank you. All righty. Is there any other business that anyone would like to raise at this point? There we go. The
Yes.
floor is yours. Go ahead, Councillor.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
My other business, I just want to welcome everybody to the Ilderton 150, which is happening on July 10th to the 12th at the Ilderton Fairgrounds. And I also want to say that I had the pleasure of going to the Medway High School commencement last Thursday, where I presented 2 awards to 2 students who went above and beyond on their volunteer hours. So it was fantastic to be there for that. So I just wanted to share those good news.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for that coverage. Any other business from anyone else? Seeing no hands, then we can go to the bylaws. The recommendation before us is that bylaw 2026 number 41 and 42 be passed and enacted. And I have a mover, please, and a seconder, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles. Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And then we have a motion to adjourn that and it is that the June 17th, 2026 meeting of Middlesex Centre Council be adjourned at 8:51 p.m. Councillor Cates, thank you. Councillor Coles, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you.